And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Robinson versus Hill. Step forward, please.
Legal Secretary Carol Robinson is suing her son, Auto Shop District Manager Joseph Hill, for a series of unpaid loans. Joseph says the money was a gift.
Miss Robinson, Mr. Hill is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that while separated from his wife, he accrued a series of loans from you to pay his bills, other expenses, including child support. Your son says that there was never an agreement that the money that you did, in fact, advance him to pay his bills was a loan, that you agreed to help him out, and that you're only angry because he went back to his wife. Is that what you're saying, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. How old are you?
28.
How many years have you been married?
A little over 3 years.
You have children?
Yes, ma'am, one son.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a district manager for an auto mechanic shop.
And how long have you been doing that?
For about 3 years.
Now, I want you to tell me about what happened after you and your wife separated.
Well, when we separated, we were both working. We were both working, so there were a little more bills than my income could pay for. My mother was there to help me out.
Just a second. Specifically, I want you to tell me what you did. You separated from your wife. Where did you go?
I stayed in the family home. My wife left.
And when did she leave? What month, what year?
May of this year.
Where did she go?
She went to her grandparents' house.
With your child?
Yes, ma'am.
Leaving you in the house. Now, is this a rental house or is this something?
It's a rental house, yes, ma'am.
And what's the rent?
$850 a month.
And how much were you earning at the time, sir?
I earn about $1,440 every 2 weeks is my gross income.
Now, tell me about this conversation that you had with your mother when she started to help you.
She agreed that she would help me to where
tell me about the conversation. Now, I'll decide whether she agreed to help you. Okay, tell me about the conversation.
Well, it came to the point where we were discussing the finances at my house. She had told me that she would help me take care of my bills, to bring my bills to her, bring her my paychecks every 2 weeks, and she would pay my bills. She did make a loan to me at one point in time for an attorney, which has already been settled and taken care of between me and her.
How much was that?
$2,500.
Is that right?
That is correct.
And he paid you back?
Not yet.
We have a settlement agreement to pay that back.
Settlement agreement from where?
That she wrote up and I signed that I would pay it back over the course of the next however many months at $100 a month.
When did you do that?
Roughly about 3 weeks ago.
Do you have a copy of that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see it, please. Oh, so she had sued you for this?
Yes, ma'am.
But your lawyer was only $2,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? So why did you agree to pay her on $4,425?
There was past issues of finances where she had loaned me money to pay off a probation officer that I also agree that I do owe her.
How much was the probation officer?
$1,900.
Okay. Now tell me about this other money that she says she laid out for you for other bills, and it's clear, you agree, Miss Robinson, am I correct, that he was turning over his paycheck to you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were paying the bills?
Yes, ma'am.
You were paying his rent?
Yes, ma'am.
You were paying child support?
Yes, ma'am.
How much child support?
I believe there were 3 payments that I made in the amount of $280 plus a $5 charge for the cashier's check. And there were past due bills that were his and his wife's.
What about the $1,440 he gave you biweekly? What'd you do with that?
It was not $1,440. His net pay is $1,023.07 every other week.
Is that right?
That's roughly.
Okay, so that's $2,000 a month. That's plenty of money to pay his rent. Plenty of money to pay the last 2 payments of child support. Where's that money?
The cell phone bill was quite large every month.
Well, tell me what the cell phone bill was.
There were 3 months that I paid, $419.15.
Just a second. What was one cell phone for? $400 a month?
I'm a district manager. I have 10 stores that I have to stay in touch with on a regular basis throughout the day.
Well, then your company pays for that.
They reimburse a small portion.
Then you take care of that. Then you give that back to your mom. We're paying legitimate expenses for which you do not get reimbursed. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you took his paycheck, and you took his paycheck since June?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right? Did you tell him each month when he went over what he had given you?
Yes, ma'am. I showed him the check register and how low my funds, my own personal funds, were getting. And he says, "Don't worry, Mom." He says, "I'll pay it all back."
He already owed you $4,400, Miss Robinson. Some of it he owed you for more than a year. How could you legitimately believe that your son was going to pay you back for all this stuff when he hadn't even paid you back money that he owed you for a year and a half? How did you legitimately believe? I'm asking your legitimate expectation that your son was going to have more money to pay you back when he hadn't fulfilled what you claim, and in a settlement, you say were obligations that existed almost 2 years. Come on, let's be real. When did you stop giving your mother your salary check?
Beginning to mid-July.
So that's June and half of July. That's a month and a half. And it is your claim, madam, I'm just curious, it's your claim that in the month and a half you laid out for him, for which you were not reimbursed by his salary checks, $4,313.50. Is that right?
That is correct.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And I don't believe that you had a legitimate expectation in that month and a half that he was going to be able to pay you back. If, in fact, you laid that out for him, I don't believe that. I believe that you said, I'll help you out, I'll pay your bills, give me your salary, I'll try to act as your accountant and make sure that all of these bills are paid and in some organized fashion. Was it your wife who was responsible for paying the bills in your house, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't know how to do that?
Not very good with money.
No, okay. So you gave, instead of giving your wife the money, you gave your mother the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, you shouldn't have done it, Miss Robinson. He's your son. That's what you're supposed to do. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was a very sad situation. It's one that's disrupted our entire family.
She doesn't like my wife. When me and her decided to try to work things out civilly between us, whether we get back together or not, that's when she went in a rampage.
I was very upset.
I just think it's a shame that she's had to ruin the whole family and bring it like this.
I don't imagine he's going to let me see my grandchild anymore.
I've been told that as far as I'm concerned with the family, I'm now dead.
He does know that I love him. I just don't like his ways.
23-year-old Allison Abushan is suing her ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Christopher Wilson, for money owed on a truck and for unauthorized bank charges.
Order. All rise. This is case number 132 on the calendar in the matter of Abushan versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Thank you, Bert. Miss Abushan, how long were you and the defendant together as a couple?
About 5.5 months.
Did he move in with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you meet him?
I met him when I was finishing college in Kentucky. He then moved back with me to Minnesota.
Mr. Wilson, when you moved back with Miss Abushan to Minnesota, what were you doing for a living, sir?
I got down there and I started work for DirecTV.
In what month did you move to Minnesota?
It was 2 days before Christmas.
So let's say January. And when did you get the job with DirecTV?
It was about a month after Christmas.
February?
Yes.
How long did you have the job?
Until I come back to Kentucky.
And when was that?
In the middle of March.
Well, then you weren't working very long, sir.
Right.
Who was supporting you?
My parents would send me money, help me out.
I'm talking about her. Was she supporting you?
It'd go either way. I had money too.
Where did you have money from?
My parents, like I say, they would send me money.
How old are you, Mr. Wilson?
I'm 23, I'll be 24.
If I let you.
I hope you'll let me.
All of these things, my questions have a reason, Mr. Wilson.
Okay.
This is your complaint. You foolishly, very foolishly, put a down payment on a truck or
Yes, Your
something
Honor.
for him. And there was an agreement that he was going to pay you back for it because he didn't have any what?
Transportation or money.
Because he didn't have any money.
Right.
Otherwise, he would have put the down payment on his own truck. So evidently his parents, because he acknowledges that you put the down payment on the truck for him, right? I read your papers.
Correct.
And if you had money of your own, then you wouldn't have needed money from her. You're smarter than you look, sir. Now, 2 weeks after you bought him this truck, he goes back to Kentucky to deal with
ma'am.
some legal issues, according to him, having to do with his child.
That ended up being
I'm
false.
speaking.
Excuse me.
And his child said, "Oh, Daddy, don't leave." So he decided to leave and dump you and go back to the mother of his child and his child because he couldn't say no to his baby. And he kept your
Truck.
That's after 2 weeks.
Yes,
And how
ma'am.
much did you lay out?
$3,500.
You know, your looks are deceiving, sir. What?
$3,500, Your Honor.
No. There were also payments due on this truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
He moved back in the middle of March to
Kentucky.
Did he make the March payment on the truck?
No, ma'am, he did not.
She kinda
I
gets
see,
it.
shh, just a second. I see a whole lot of blank space on your table, Mr. Wilson. You say in your answer that you made the truck payments. You left, according to you, the second week in March. Show me the March payment that you made.
I ain't got no evidence of nothing. She come and got the truck without my knowledge, right in the middle of the day.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You have evidence, sir, because you would have proof that you made the truck payment in March.
Nothing was due. There was no payments due on that truck.
I have a check, Your Honor.
We just had purchased that truck. Like I say, we just had purchased that truck.
You mean you purchased it, they made you a gift?
No, it's not a gift. It wasn't. There was no payments due on it.
When was the first payment due?
Whenever we bought the truck, like 3 weeks before. And I hadn't had a chance to pay the payment on it because she come and got it.
You didn't have a chance.
Exactly.
Your Honor, I have a check for March.
Can I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am. My mother wrote it out of account that we had shared together, my mother and I, to make the payment. After he was delinquent on that payment, that's when we chose to go down there for the sake of my credit.
Just a second.
Yes, Your Honor.
We do this according to the way I run this playpen, okay? Check is dated the 21st of March, so I assume for $271.75. You don't have another check that you made, do you, sir?
No.
In March? No. Then you went down because he didn't make the payment. And very wisely, I might add, decided not to be involved with this man anymore because now your credit is on the line because there are payments due on this car.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you and your mom, according to your papers, went down and repossessed the car.
Yes.
And sold it.
Yes.
Sold it at a loss.
Yes.
And what you want is the money that you spent on him for this truck. How much did you sell the truck for?
Sold the truck for $10,500. Had $11.86 left on the truck to be paid.
All right, so what's the deficit?
About $1,300.
Okay. That's a cheap lesson. Now, when, Miss Aubuchon, when you went down to repossess the truck, did you give him any notice that he had the opportunity to make up any of these?
Yes, Your Honor. I asked him if he would please return the truck to me. I even offered to buy him a plane ticket back to Kentucky from Minnesota if he would do that.
And what did he say to you?
He said, I'll do it, and then he would not call me back. I wouldn't be able to get a hold of him for several weeks at a time.
When did you first call him?
I called him...
Mr. Wilson, this smirk is irritating. Go ahead.
I was explaining this to him about a week after he left once I realized that he would not be returning.
When he left to go to Kentucky?
Yes.
When did he notify you that he would not be coming back?
It was about a week after he left. He told me that he wasn't going to be coming back due to his baby and missing his family. At that point, I said, I'll give you the opportunity to make the truck payment. If you do not, it will be going against my credit as well, and I will have to retrieve the truck.
And when did you have the discussion with him?
That discussion with him was had about a week after he left, originally.
Which was when?
It would have been the very end of February, first week of March. I also have credit card charges, Your Honor, which would indicate when he returned back to Kentucky.
I'd like to see them, please. The second part of your claim is that he overdrew a joint checking account that you had. And quite frankly, I'm far more interested in that than this truck problem because
Yes, Your
the
Honor.
truck was an unfortunate exercise for you.
Right.
You got most of your money back.
Right.
The $1,300 is probably a reasonable lesson that you'll never do it again.
Well, the down payment I never got back.
The down payment you did get back, madam, when you sold it. If anything, there was one payment due. I mean, it was a wise thing for you to do. Otherwise, you would have been responsible for the whole thing. But no bank would have gone after him after
But
a
I
week.
gave him the opportunity to
No bank
pay
would
the...
have gone after him after a week. And in all probability, he would not have made these payments. There's no question he wouldn't have made these payments from a moral perspective. But from a legal perspective, if you own a car and you finance it, and if you're 4 days late with a payment, they do not come after you and repossess the car. They don't do it.
Right.
Let's hear about the money in your checking account.
Okay. We opened this joint checking account because I was supporting Mr. Wilson. I gave him a card of his own. Once he started making money, his checks were going to be directly deposited into that account so that we could pay bills together, so on and so forth. When he left, that account was emptied. I foolishly did not
just
close
a second.
it.
When he left, the account was emptied by you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was in the account?
At the time, there was about $1,500 in the account.
Okay. And at the time, Mr. Wilson had been working for about a month.
Correct.
How much money did you put into the account, Mr. Wilson?
Probably about $700.
Okay, fine. And then, according to the plaintiff, Mr. Wilson, you made charges against her bank credit for $2,000. Why did you do that, sir?
I don't think I made that much.
Why did you make any?
I don't think I made about maybe $300, and I figured my money was in there.
Well, let's see how much money. How much money did he charge on the debit card?
I believe the total is about $2,300.
Not about. Figure it out, because then you're going to show it to Mr. Wilson. You need a calculator?
I may need a calculator. There's quite a bit.
Stand over next to her while she's adding this up so you save me a little bit of time, Mr. Wilson. Listen to me, Miss Arbitration.
Thank you. Yes, Your Honor.
Show him the charge, add it on the calculator. Press on.
Okay.
I know enough about the machine to know they have to press on.
This is the ladder. This is the advance for credit card for food and gas when you left town, food and gas in Kentucky, when you ordered stuff in order to set up your new business in Kentucky, more food and gas, and the Dell computer.
And what do we have as a total?
We have $2,130, I believe.
Looks like $16.05 on your computer.
This is wrong. That was the
Go,
difference.
step back over and don't be a smart mouth. Can I see it, please?
Sure.
Give me the computer. Let him stand right there next to you. Just
Okay. So unless the decimal is in the wrong place, it should be about $1,595 that I've now added up. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now, Mr. Wilson, you've gone over those charges. That should be your computer in Kentucky, your business in Kentucky, the food and gas in Kentucky. Gone over those charges?
Yes.
Is that right? $1,595?
I don't think so.
Well, how much is it, sir? Here, just a second. Let's do... You add it.
I don't need no calculator. I mean, I really don't.
No, listen to me. Then add it up in your head. Add it up in your head. What?
600.
No. Add up those figures, sir. Give the piece of paper to Smartmouth. Read over the figures that she just added, sir. Come on.
Well, at the time, you know, from Minnesota, Kentucky.
Listen, from Minnesota to Kentucky, give me the charges. Let's go.
Let me see your calculator then. This calculator ain't right.
Can I have the calculator, please? I've been using it for 11 years. Okay. Now, what I want you to do, Miss Arbitration, this is a challenge. I want you to say the charge, tell me what it was for,
Okay.
and the amount.
Okay. There was a ladder charged at Menards, $220.85.
Don't give me any change.
Okay.
Just round it out to the last
Yes, Your
dollar.
Honor.
$225?
Yep. Advance from credit card, $150. Skywalker Communications, $175. Food and gas in Kentucky, $50. Advance from credit card, $1,000. I'm sorry, I missed that originally. And the Dell computer, $807.
Where's the computer, sir?
I sent it back whenever she notified me about it.
Send it back to whom?
Dale, a long time ago.
Is there a credit?
I was never credited for that, Your Honor.
You owe her $2,407. You got it? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,407. Listen, Miss Arbitration,
Yes,
you
Your
made
Honor.
a mistake.
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't make another mistake.
I won't, Your Honor.
Good. Thank you. That's
Thank
all.
you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thought I was gonna steal my kid.
I was very surprised.
She was very upset.
The quickest I ever got over anyone.
Everybody messes up.
I will be more careful about my choices of partners in life.
You say she measured the door, too.
Yes.
Well, tell me about it.
As we measured the door,
Who's we?
her and I,
Were you there together?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, then you have a problem.
Nelson is suing his adopted son, 22-year-old Christopher Nelson, for the value of a Corvette. Dennis claims Christopher illegally sold the vehicle.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 171 on the calendar, the matter of Nelson versus Nelson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Mr. Nelson, this is your son.
Yes.
You were married to his mother, and did you formally adopt him?
Yes.
And you are now divorced from his
Yes.
mother. When was that divorce?
September
Of?
06.
According to your complaint, you believe that your son owes you for a car that you gave to him, titled in his name, but with a condition. And the condition was the car would be returned to you if and when he joined the Navy.
He told me he was already signed up for the Navy in January
Right. So that was the condition that you indicated.
to get him off of a motorcycle that he was riding rather recklessly.
Right. And you said to him, here's a car, putting it in your name. When you go into the Navy, I want you to give it back.
Right.
Did you ever go into the Navy?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Nelson, I read your whole complaint, and your whole complaint has sort of a convoluted story about certain trust that you had in your son to do the right thing. He took the car, he sold it to somebody else, then he took it back, then he sold it to another person. Bottom line is, I read your complaint very carefully, sir, and your complaint is clear. Even if I believe what you said in your complaint, which was you gave him this car, you transferred the title to him, is that correct? He insured the car himself, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you pay for the insurance yourself?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how long did you drive the car?
Only for a couple months, Your Honor.
Then you sold it and bought something else.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Nelson, stop playing with your papers.
Okay.
Because you're not going to understand what I'm saying to you unless you pay attention.
Gotcha.
If I believe what you say in your complaint, you made him a conditional gift. And the condition of that gift was that the car would be returned to you when he entered the Navy. But he has not entered the Navy.
Okay.
So how can you get the car back? Or the value of the car?
Okay.
Do you understand? I know that you're angry with him. I don't know exactly why. Maybe we can resolve that. But the conditional gift that you made to him it becomes a permanent gift if he never joins the Navy. Is it your intention to join the Navy?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
I decided to keep pursuing my medical field that I am now.
And not join the Navy? Okay. Ever. When did you give him the car, Mr. Nelson, just for my own information?
September 27, 06.
And you titled it in that same month. And when did you sell the car, sir?
Down in October around.
Who'd you sell it to?
I didn't personally meet them. My stepfather actually had it in Desert Hot Springs, and he sold it for me.
To whom did you sell it?
To a private party out of Banning.
Stand up. How much did you sell it for?
Your Honor, Christopher owed me some money, so he had gotten another vehicle. So in lieu of the money that he owed me,
What did he owe you money for?
Personal loans.
Explain it to me.
Just everyday living, helping him with insurance, paying for some of his tuitions through furthering his education in the EMS field, things of that nature.
How much did he owe you?
About $4,500. Educations are expensive.
How long have you been married to his mother?
Since July of 06.
You were divorced in September of 06. So how could you be married in July of 06?
It was a typo on the court's behalf, and we're since straightening that out in litigation.
What do you mean you're straightening that out? What does that mean?
Well, what it means is there was a typo that instead of putting a 9 when the divorce would have been finalized, it would look like a 7. So we went forward with the wedding. Come to find out later that it was a typo, so we're in litigation now at the courts to rectify that.
Why don't you just get married again?
We will, sir. Ma'am, when we're done with this. Pardon me.
May I reiterate?
Just a second. So let's assume he owed you $4,500 in the relatively short time that you've been together with his mother. How much did you sell the car for?
That exact amount.
To whom?
I don't know the name of the person. I took the car to my place of employment, placed a for sale sign in it, and 5 hours later sold the car. I don't know the name of the people. I really didn't expect this.
A man or a woman?
It was a man for his daughter.
Did you get a check or cash?
I received cash.
Do you know that I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth?
I'm sorry.
Do you know
I'm sorry.
that I don't really believe a word that's coming out of your mouth? Do you trust him?
I know it was true.
Well, let me tell you something. Most of what he just told me was not true.
I beg to differ, Your Honor.
Oh,
under this day that
you can do all you like, sir, but I understand.
I just swore between God and this court to tell the truth.
Quiet. I understand why Mr. Nelson is annoyed. The truth of the matter is, he made a conditional gift, and it didn't work out the way he had assumed it was work out. He certainly wasn't giving his son a car to give to you, to give you money. And so I can understand why he's annoyed. I understand why you're annoyed, sir.
Thank you.
Okay?
When I get a chance, I'd like to explain.
Go ahead.
First, the car was stolen from her. She has a judgment on it.
A judgment? What do you mean it was stolen from you?
He sold the car to her, not to him.
Who sold the car to her?
Christopher sold the car to her.
Which is Christopher?
Christopher.
You sold the car to this lady?
for $7,500.
I'm speaking.
No, Your Honor.
You did not.
No, Your Honor.
Where's the judgment?
I'd like to explain.
Go ahead.
When I received the car, I heard from a friend that I believe Kelly was looking for a car around $5,000, $7,500 or so. And so me and her were talking and everything, but she only had about $2,500 to give me. I knew she was going through some hard time, so we made a verbal agreement that she was to have possession of the car and I was to retain ownership until final payment. After a couple of weeks, I kept getting the same response that...
How much money did she give you?
She gave me $2,500 as a down payment. And then I was still waiting on $5,000 when she went down to her security lockbox at quote-unquote Pachanga. Well, after many weeks of trying to talk to her and give me the same excuse, it wasn't until after I talked to a lawyer and a detective from the Murrieta Police Department about the legal part of it that I was in full right to go and repossess my vehicle.
What'd you do with the $2,500?
She took me to court.
And what happened with it?
I even told her that I would give her the back.
What happened with it?
I was unable to attend.
What do you mean you were unable to attend?
I had a class that I was already enrolled in to further my...
Go ahead.
I have a witness in the back.
You didn't know you could appeal.
For what?
Christopher.
I will testify
To what?
to whatever you want to hear.
Well, I
He'll
don't want to testify to whatever
he
I
will
want to hear.
testify to the fact that he did steal the car. He was paid in
Just
full.
a second. Just a second. You have a judgment against him for $7,500?
She has the judgment.
You have a judgment against him, so there's no question.
Here's the bill of sales for the other car.
A court has already ruled on that.
On that one.
On this one.
But the other witness will testify that he did take the car.
No, I got it. He said he repossessed the car, and he couldn't go to the hearing, to the court date, because he had a class.
Okay.
And then he took the car back, and he gave it to his stepfather, who sold it, according to him, for
Here's the bill of sales on
$4,500.
there.
Can I see the bill of sale?
The ones that he can't find.
Your last name is Mater?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I have a bill of sale, sir, with your signature on it, indicating that you sold this car to Joanna
That's
for
the name.
$5,700.
I don't recall it being 57.
Well, why don't you take a look at this, sir?
Okay.
I don't remember it being that much either.
Obviously, this is a second-generated bill of sale with the price altered. I'm not a liar. I am a man of integrity. Have fun.
Listen, I don't have to get into all of this. You can sit down. I can understand why your father is angry with you. He made a gift to you. He was hoping that you would be able to use that gift and drive safely with that gift. And he didn't do it to line the pockets of anybody else, including taking care of the bills that you allegedly owed to your stepfather. He was trying to help you. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, is there any reason why you did that?
What, Your Honor?
Took a wonderful gesture and made it not wonderful anymore.
It wasn't a wonderful gesture, Your Honor.
No, it wasn't?
No, Your Honor.
Well, let me ask you this question, sir. Do you think that your father could have sold that car to somebody else? Put your hand down. Well, you sold it to somebody for $7,500. He sold it to somebody for $5,700. Don't you think your father could have sold it to somebody else for $5,000?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's an answer. Instead, he gave it to you. Write it off. Mr. Nelson, legally I can't help you because the condition was that you get it back.
It is what it is.
You get it back if he joined the Navy. Didn't join the Navy. He's not going to join the Navy. Unfortunate. Sometimes your best intentions are not necessarily.
His words were he signed up for the Navy in January.
I understand that.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Good
Your
enough.
case is
Thank you.
dismissed. That's all. You owe him an apology.
That'll never happen.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It is what it is. Liars, cheats, and thieves. The whole family.
He can't handle the fact that he has no control.
The captain of the fire department is less than honest.
The judge tried to attack my character, which was wrong. I was truthful as much as I could remember.
He's using his position to get personal vendettas.
He's jealous that I am married to his wife and basically have taken his prized possessions.
I just don't like dishonest people.
This guy is definitely less than stable. I just hope for society's sake they take care of this.
26-year-old Stacy Levine is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Rory Rodriguez, for a cell phone bill and the cost of a plane ticket to Pennsylvania.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 158 on the calendar in the matter of Levine versus Rodriguez. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Miss Levine, this used to be your boyfriend, and according to your complaint, he owes you for a plane ticket and for a cell phone bill.
Yes.
Mr. Rodriguez says the cell phone was your idea in order to keep in touch with him, and he never used the plane ticket.
Yes.
How long did this romance go on? For how many months?
About 8 months.
And when did you get involved with his cell phone business?
In July of '06.
How long had you known him?
7 months.
So you got involved in his cell phone business a month before you broke up?
Correct.
Tell me how that came about.
He had been complaining he had wanted a new phone, and he was on his father's plan. His father would not allow him to get a new phone, and we had discussed getting him a new phone with a different carrier so that we could talk with free minutes. Also, we had a verbal agreement that if I bought him a new phone, he would pay me back as soon as he got his check that month in July.
Where were you working?
I was a nanny. I was working as a nanny.
And what was he doing?
Nothing.
Well, when was he supposed to pay you for the cell phone?
Well, he said he was getting another check in July from the school district.
What kind of work does he do for the school district?
He was a campus supervisor.
When was the bill that you claim he owes you? Was it a bill or was it the actual cell phone that
There's
he owes you?
I paid for the cell phone in July, and then there was also a bill that has accrued since we started the phone.
How much was the phone itself?
$229.30.
And how much was the bill?
The bill now is $724.38.
For how many months?
That was the last statement I got was in March of this last year.
Why didn't you just cut off the phone?
I did end up shutting off the phone. That was after he racked up all of the charges. He had promised to pay the bill every month. I had set up the bill to go to his address. His name was on it as well. My name was just used for credit purposes. So he got the statement every single month in the mail to his address, and he told me he was paying it.
You mean after you broke up?
Yes. Well, when I set up the phone in July, he
said he would pay it, but this $724 isn't for 1 month.
No.
Or 2 months, and according to you, you broke up in August.
We did break up in August, and I paid the first bill in September, and then...
You did? Why?
Because he had called me. I was out of town. He called me and told me he needed the bill paid, and I didn't want it to go into collections at that time, so I did pay it over the phone.
And what about the next month's bill?
He told me he paid it. I was on the phone with Verizon. He said I sent a check.
Let's talk about the cell phone. Get the plane ticket in a second. Talk.
She knew that I was out of work. Working for the school district, it's a 10.5-month job.
Well, then that's what you do for a living. You work for a school district that's a 10.5-month job.
Right. And she was well aware.
Don't tell me what she was aware of, sir. I want to hear your explanation of needing a new telephone.
I did not need a new telephone. I was perfectly fine with the one that I had underneath my father's plan. The only reason that she wanted me to have the cell phone was so that we could talk for free, and we could text message for free.
Okay, so as one of your famous, fabulous 5 friends? Or
something along those lines, yeah.
I don't do that. I don't have 5 people that I want to speak to that often. Let's discount the phone for a second, Mr. Rodriguez. What about your cell phone bill? Why didn't you pay that? What?
I had no money. I was out of work. I wasn't out of work, but I wasn't working.
Well, get a job, sir.
I had a job.
Then don't talk on a cell phone.
We broke up in August, and after August, the phone was never used.
Oh, show me. Can I see a bill if that's true? If the phone was never used after August, is that what you're telling me?
The phone, once we broke up, the phone was...
That's the bill.
No, all I want to know is, you're saying to me, once you broke up in August, the phone was never used.
Correct.
He did not rack up $500 in a month.
Oh, no. I need the bills from September, October, November. This doesn't tell me anything, madam.
It says what the charges are.
For what month?
For all of them. The phone wasn't shut off until December.
I understand that the phone wasn't shut off until December, but there's a factual dispute. If he says that he did not use the phone after you broke up, then some credence to his story that you decided to get this phone so that the two of you could either chat or text message each other for nothing. One phone bill doesn't do it for me. Do you understand?
I understand that, yes.
Do you have the others with you?
I do not have any other phone bills with me.
Here, give this back to her for now.
That was the only way I was able to get a hold of him, was his cell phone. So I did talk to him on the cell phone.
That's not my statement to you, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Fine. So, since you didn't bring that with you, I'm going to dismiss the cell phone portion of your claim without prejudice. You can certainly sue him for that amount of money when you have the appropriate documents to back up your story. You don't have them today. Now let's get to the plane ticket. When was the plane ticket purchased?
July of '06.
July what?
I believe it was the 14th.
And when did you officially break up with him?
The last week of August.
When was this trip supposed to take place?
We were supposed to leave September 1st, and we broke up the very week before.
9/1. And where were you going?
We were going to Pennsylvania and Cleveland.
For what?
Pennsylvania to visit family, Cleveland to the Cleveland Clinic, and then to the Canton to the Football Hall of Fame.
When did you purchase the ticket?
July 14th of '06.
Is that correct?
I'm not sure what the date was.
Well, I'm sure she has documents showing when she purchased the ticket and when you were supposed to leave.
I've never had, in my possession, I never had the ticket, so I don't know when she had bought it.
It doesn't make any difference. Because what I found interesting was you said that the reason you were going to Pennsylvania is to attend her grandfather's funeral. That's what you say. And I said to myself, well, how do you plan for something like that 2-3 weeks in advance? You know,
no.
I don't know whether her grandfather is alive or not, but you don't...
Her grandfather did pass away.
Yes.
On the trip that we were supposed to go to, her grandfather did pass away.
But he did not pass away.
Shh. I have no idea what you just said to me.
Her grandfather passed away on the trip that we were supposed to go to.
But you hadn't planned on going there for his funeral unless he had some sort of premonition that he was going, sir.
We did, though, ma'am. It was something that was known for a while that
he was going to die while you were there.
Not while we were there, but
you know, you sound ridiculous. You know, you sound ridiculous. You mean she wanted to go visit her grandfather because he was sick?
Right.
That's not what you said here. You said that you planned to go to Pennsylvania to attend her grandfather's funeral.
Right.
He's not too swift. Okay, tell me about the plane ticket.
We were going to go visit family in Pennsylvania and then move on to Cleveland. He was going to accompany me and my mother. My mother actually purchased the tickets and spoke with Rory on the phone. And
perfect. Can you step up? Your last name is?
Randall.
Miss Randall, tell me about the conversation you had with Mr. Rodriguez about this plane ticket.
On the day that we were purchasing the tickets, I spoke with him on the phone, and he told me he would reimburse Stacy for the airfare. And at the same time, we opened up the airline's frequent flyer mileage account for him, set that up, and it was my clear understanding from him during that conversation.
I don't want to hear your clear understanding.
Sorry.
I want to hear what he said to you.
He said he would reimburse Stacy for the cost of the airline ticket.
And then what happened? Thank you.
We broke up.
Yes.
And there was no reason for me to go on a trip with him if we weren't together.
Absolutely right, sir.
And at the same time as
was the ticket refundable?
It was non-refundable. I tried transferring it into my name so that I could use it. I was not able to do that. I told him that as soon as I knew that. I said, here's the ticket. You know, you can use it for up to a year later. Did not give it to him because he had not paid for it. And he still has until July 14th of this year to use it.
Did you have that discussion with him?
Yes, I did.
Do you remember that discussion when she said it's non-transferable, but you can use it for up to a year?
Yes.
Well, then you have to pay for it.
When we had talked originally about buying this ticket, I told her, just as a cell phone, I did not have money because
I believe her mother that her mother had the discussion with you, sir.
And
I believe her mother. I do not believe you that you didn't have that discussion with her mother.
I'm not saying that I didn't have the discussion with her mother, but what I'm saying is that I was out of work.
I don't care whether you were out of work.
And I let them know that I couldn't pay them immediately.
That's a different story. The word is immediately. So you
you
don't intend to be unemployed forever.
When we had broken up, so there was no reason for me to even go on a trip with them.
Of course not, sir, but the ticket is non-refundable. I want you to try to expand your brain a little bit, Mr. Rodriguez. The fact that you broke up and you had non-refundable ticket, let's say instead of going to Pennsylvania, you were going with her to Cancun, Mexico, and you purchased 2 non-refundable tickets. She put it on her credit card. You broke up. There's no question. You said, listen, we're not going on this trip. She's not going to go alone. I'm not going to go alone. But the airline says to you, and they say to you, listen, If you canceled, we're not giving you money back, but you can reschedule within the next 6 months. She put it on her credit card. Do you think you're responsible to pay her for those tickets?
No.
You're wrong. You are. You have an opportunity to use the tickets, but you can't say, I'm not going to touch those tickets. You promised the mother that you were going to pay her back for the tickets. You had an opportunity to use them for a year. You should have used them. And I suggest you get your behind into gear because you still have a couple of days to use them. Figure out where you want to go. If you want to go to the Hall of Fame, that's a great place to go for a weekend. How much were the tickets?
$331.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $331. With regard to the cell phone bill, you bring the right proof. Either I'll entertain your application or another court of competent jurisdiction will do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out. All parties in the matter of Kruger versus Perks, step forward.
Carolyn Kruger is suing her brother, Kevin Perks, for his share of their mother's funeral. Carolyn says Kevin is the only sibling who refuses to pay.
Miss Kruger, Mr. Perks is your brother.
Yes, he is.
And your claim is that he is responsible for a portion of your mother's funeral expenses.
That's correct.
Mr. Perks says he is not responsible for any portion of your mother's funeral expenses. When did your mother pass away?
April 22nd, 2007.
And it is my understanding that her primary asset was a life insurance policy. Is
That's
that correct?
correct.
Did she have any other assets other than this life insurance policy?
She had a few $100s in a bank account that I used to pay for the nursing home.
Other than the life insurance policy, did she have a home? Did she have a car?
No.
Did she have bonds? Anything else?
No.
Life insurance policy?
Yes.
And how much was the life insurance policy?
I don't know the total amount. We each got a portion of it. It was $2,082.74 a piece times 8. So a little over $17,000.
And she had been paying on this life insurance policy. I assume it was from work? Or...
Correct. It came out of her pension.
So it was a pension?
Right.
And it is also my understanding from your complaint that there was no named beneficiary on the policy.
That's correct.
So far, are we correct on that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So, only asset is a $17,000 life insurance policy, correct?
Yes,
You have 7 siblings.
that is correct.
Correct. Your mother did not have a will.
No, she did not.
So you decided, I assume, that you had been taking care of her business.
Correct.
You didn't object to that.
I didn't object. I didn't know I was objecting to because she never consulted me on anything.
When you went to visit her, did you take charge of her medical care, of overseeing her stay in the nursing home? Did you take care of her other business, or did you just go and visit her?
I just went and visited her.
So you knew somebody had to be taking care of that.
That is correct.
And who did you think was taking care of that business?
Carolyn.
There we go. And you didn't object to that.
No, I did not.
Perfect. Now, you did receive a portion of this life insurance, did you not?
That is correct.
How much did you receive?
$2,076 and some change. I don't know the exact amount.
When your mother passed away in April of 2007, did she pass away in the same town where you live?
Yes.
Did you go to the funeral?
Yes.
Did you put on a suit?
Yes.
You married?
Fiance.
Did your fiance go with you?
Yes, she did.
Do you have children?
Yes, we do.
Did you bring your children to the funeral?
Yes.
So they went to their grandmother's funeral.
Yes.
Were there flowers at the funeral?
Yes.
Was there a grave site that you went to?
Yes.
Did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this? Mr. Perks,
No.
did you ever stop to say to yourself, who's paying for this?
Yes.
Did you think the burial fairy was paying for it?
No.
No. So you knew that somebody had to be paying for it.
That's correct.
Okay. And who did you think? Put your hand down. Who did you think that was?
The life insurance policy.
Right. Look how smart you are. You thought that her life insurance policy was paying for it, right?
That's correct.
Put your hand down. It did. All your brothers and sisters kicked in from the life insurance policy to pay for the funeral, except you. That's what the case is all about. Now, your sister could very easily have said, I am going to take all the proceeds of this life insurance policy, and I'm going to pay the $6,000 for Mom's funeral, and whatever is left over, I'm going to give it to my brothers and sisters. Right?
That is correct.
Well, that's what you thought happened. Instead, your sister decided to do what she considered the right thing, which was name each of you as a beneficiary on the life insurance policy. You all got your money, and everybody divided the $6,000 or whatever it was for the funeral and sent her a check for their portion. Go!
Well, Your Honor, the life insurance policy, normally most life insurance policy, they have a provision, or the funeral home has an agreement where you can have a form filled out to have the life insurance policy paid for it, the funeral expense itself. She never told me about this expense whatsoever. A week after I got the check, I never heard anything from her, never agreed to it, never paid anything. She didn't consult me about it, nothing.
So? And your point would be?
I should have been consulted further on...
I'm consulting you right now. I'm consulting you. Who's supposed to pay for your mother's funeral? Not you. You have no legal obligation to pay for your mother's funeral. None. But you have no right to accept full proceeds of a life insurance policy, which by law is supposed to pay for her funeral expenses before it's dispersed to any beneficiary. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. So it was done a little bit backwards. Instead of taking the money out and then put your hand down. Does it sound like you're losing?
No, I'm sorry.
So instead of taking the $6,000 out and paying for the policy and then distributing it to you, she distributed it to the siblings and then says, okay, brothers and sisters, now send me a check. It's the same thing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You don't have to be consulted about that, sir. This one wants to say something.
During the funeral and everything that was at the funeral, as far as the casket, the flowers, anything, Kevin was not allowed or invited to pick any of that stuff out.
Was he invited to pick out who the nurses were going to be at his mother?
Your Honor.
Pay attention to what I'm saying to you. Was he consulted, and did he make himself responsible for his mother's care in the nursing home where she was?
He had no choice.
Of course he had a choice. Did he have a choice to pick you?
Yes.
Then he had a choice to pick where his mother went and who took care of her and participating in her care. He chose not to do that. Just as he chose, madam, listen to me very carefully, he chose to let somebody else take the responsibility for picking out a casket, for picking out flowers. It was not as if he wasn't invited to the funeral. He went with you and his children. He just made himself dumb, which I have a feeling isn't much of a stretch. You owe your sister your share of your mother's funeral. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. How much was it?
$750.
Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nobody asked did they want to come help me plan a funeral.
My sister wanted this for herself.
He thinks that I was controlling.
Wanted to take over everything.
Somebody had to take care of her.
Nothing was consulted. No, we weren't consulting anything.
Nobody offered to come with me.
I hope everybody gets along.
Just do what's right.
That's a family. Please get along. Please listen to everybody.
Do what you should do for the people you care about.
Don't fight about this. It's not worth it.
And like he said, don't fight.
It's not worth the heartache and the misery of, brothers and sisters fighting over, piddly stuff.
It's a stupid fight.
It really doesn't matter.
Jane Dew and his son Matthew are suing Matthew's mother, Michael Dew, for the return of disability money she pocketed. Michael claims she has done no such thing.
Order. All rise. Yeah, it's case number 308 on the calendar in the matter of Dew versus Dew. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated, ladies.
Mr. Dew, this is your former wife and this is your mother, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And according to the complaint that I read, you were in an automobile accident?
A dirt bike accident last year.
Dirt bike?
Yeah.
And you were severely injured?
Yeah.
After you were injured, you went to live in your mother's home?
Yeah.
How old are you?
Now I'm 21 now.
It is your complaint and your father's complaint that your mother received certain government disability checks for you.
Yes.
And it is your complaint and your father's complaint that she didn't use those checks for your benefit.
No, she didn't.
So you want the money back from her?
Yes, I do.
When did you go to live with your mother?
In December, when I came from the hospital.
December 1st.
December 1st.
And where had you been living before that?
With my dad.
After the hospital, why didn't you go back to your father?
My dad works a lot, and I needed constant care because I couldn't stand up and walk yet. So
you needed somebody to take care of you?
Yeah, because I couldn't go back. I wear a diaper because I couldn't walk, stand up to go to the bathroom.
So you needed somebody to take full-time care of you?
I need a contractor here. I need a 24-hour caregiver every day.
And when did you leave your mother's house?
And like June 8th or June 10th.
So you stayed with your mother for 6 months?
Yeah.
Mrs. Dew, when did you start receiving checks for your son?
November, we received a $50 check. While he was in the hospital, Social Security doesn't give you but $50.
And when was the next check that you got?
In December.
In what amount?
$1,500.
Who was taking care of him in December?
I was, 24 hours a day.
Did you have any nursing care for him?
No, I took time off of work.
These your two daughters?
Yes.
Did they live at home with you?
Yes.
These are your sisters?
Yes.
Did they also help take care of you?
A little bit, yes. Just a little bit, though.
And what about in January?
I took care of him until I returned back to work with January 7th, and then I paid a babysitter to come in.
And how much did you pay her?
$200 a week.
Okay. And how long did that last?
Till the middle of April, when he started becoming violent. She just said she couldn't do it anymore.
What did you do in April?
Well, she stayed with me until actually the 1st of May, but in April she had told me she couldn't do it anymore.
Yes.
Can I stand up?
Yeah.
I was in high school, it was my senior year, and I was taking time out of school to take care of him because he'd call me at school and have me come home.
This was in April?
All through December. Throughout the whole time, I would leave school, and my counselor said you can call him and he'll tell you.
It started when that you
in
were going
December. I was getting phone calls during my classes and having to leave my classes to help my mom go take care of him, or go in and getting her diapers because she had ran out of diapers and she couldn't leave him at home by himself.
Okay. What did you do in May?
By May, he was doing pretty well. He could stay 4 hours, that he would be by himself. But aside from that, somebody else would be with him. Either I could be with him or my daughters would be with him.
Okay. Now, you got $1,500 a month in December. Did that amount remain the same until he left?
No. That was the only big check that I got. After that, I received $756 a month.
$756 a month?
Right, for January. And then in February, we started receiving $856 a month.
Okay. And did that continue?
And we got that until May 1st. May 1st, we didn't get a check.
Did you get a check for May eventually?
No. In May is when we were cut off. They sent us a check for $139 and said that I had not filled out some paperwork correctly. We had been battling between disability and Social Security from the time that I signed him up, because apparently in the state of California you're supposed to exhaust disability before you get Social Security.
Okay.
I would have no way of knowing that. I'd never been through this before.
All right. Now, Mr. Dew,
yes.
Why don't you sit down?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you think your former wife owes you?
It's not what she owes me, it's what she owes him.
What do you think she owes him?
I think she owes him $4,899.86.
Based on what?
Because she drew Social Security and disability at the same time. Do you want it? And he has hospital bills that were never paid.
She can't pay the hospital bills out of what they sent her?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean? If she's receiving $856 a month for the month of February, and in January she received $756 a month, that doesn't cover the expenses for your son, sir. That's not supposed... I'm speaking. That's not supposed to cover his hospital bills. That's supposed to cover his care.
Okay, I understand that. She collected the $800.56 at the same time collecting disability at the same time for the same months. She collected Social Security.
Just a second. Your former wife says that in the month of December she received the check for $1,500 for the month of December. The month of January she received $756. In the month of February she received $856, and according to her she then received the same $856 for March and April, $856. Do you have any information to the contrary, Mr. Dew?
Disability?
Sure. Tell me what she received for him, according to your records. Tell me what she received in December.
In December, she received $666 from 12/15 to 12/28.
No, the whole month of December, she says she got $1,500. You have any information to the contrary?
That's the two added together. He gets paid every 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. She received $1,500 in December.
In December. Plus she received from Social Security $836.
In the month of December?
In the month of December.
Oh, let me see.
There you go.
Your Honor, I never received disability, ever. I never got a check from disability, only Social Security.
Just a second.
Those are payouts.
Hold on a second.
Show me the check.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How many times did you go over there a day to take care of him? How many times did you do that? Not once.
Never.
I guarantee you, not once.
And later today.
How many bills did she pay for you?
About $800 worth.
Well, both you and your wife work. Why would you allow anybody to pay bills for you?
Shane Dew says ex-wife Michael Dew owes for the return of disability money meant for their son.
When did he come to live with you?
December 1st.
Of 06.
Of 06.
Just a second. Mr. Dew, according to this letter, that your state disability of $1,332 beginning October of 2006,
That's right.
when your son says he was living with you, caused you to be overpaid by SSI.
No, ma'am. He was in a hospital.
No, listen to me.
I know.
Listen to me. Just listen to me carefully, sir.
Okay.
According to your son, he lived with you until he went home with his mother. His mother says, I never got a check for $1,332.
No, never.
That's what his mother says. Now, if he lived with you, which is what he says, there was no reason for, in October, them to send any check to her at her address.
Okay.
So listen to me carefully, Mr. Dew. Unless you have a canceled check by her with her endorsement from October, you don't ascribe that to her. He didn't live with her in October. He lived with you.
Excuse me. Can I say something now?
Sure.
In October, he was in a hospital. He was in a hospital
Listen
for
to
3
me.
months.
You're not following me, sir. When he entered the hospital, whose address did he give when you signed him into the hospital?
I didn't sign him in. I went to the hospital, but he did live with me.
Then your address would be on there when he went to the hospital in September. So any check that he would be getting would automatically not go to his mother's address in October, because that's an October overpayment.
Right.
It would go to someplace else.
Right.
I'm not ascribing that to you, but it certainly didn't go to her.
Right.
Certainly, no question. And unless, Mr. Dew, unless you have a canceled check with his mother's name on it, having received this money in October, you can't claim that she got it.
Judge, how am I supposed to have a canceled check? She filled out his disability.
You get it from Social Security, sir.
I went to Social Security.
You get the canceled check from Social Security.
They wouldn't give me the canceled check.
Well, that's not my problem.
Okay.
What I find absolutely outrageous, quite frankly, Mr. Dew, on your part, and I see that your son may be a little challenged, is that when your son was released from the hospital, and clearly he still suffers the effects of his accident.
Yes, Your Honor.
There's no question he was an infant when he went home. Your former wife and his mother and his 2 sisters took care of him, ministered to him, changed his diapers,
yes, ma'am,
fed him, took care of him, got babysitters to take care of him, gave up their life for 6 months when he was totally incapacitated, and you have, the fact that your son may be challenged is something that should not be visited on your ex-wife or your 2 daughters. These are your daughters, aren't they?
Yes, ma'am, they are.
They shouldn't be visited on your ex-wife or your 2 daughters. Put your hand down. Should not be. So if your son has a problem, what you should try to do is speak to him, because $856 a month doesn't cover the responsibility that they undertook for your son, who was not a minor anymore. She took him in because she loved him. She gave up her job for a month. She rearranged children's work schedules so that he would be covered at all times.
Yes,
how many times did you go over there a day to take care of him?
I went over.
How many times a day? Shh. How many times a day, Mr. Dew, did you go over and say to your ex-wife, listen, I'm going to spell you for a weekend. I'm going to come over and stay with him for the weekend so that you and the girls can go away, because 6 months is a long time. How many times did you do that?
I was going over there every night. I did take him to my house. He will tell you.
I asked you a question. How many times did you say to your ex-wife and your daughters, who were involved in his ongoing care for 6 months, listen, it's a real challenge for you. I'm going to come over so that all of you can take a couple of days, and I'm going to take care of him. And I'm asking you, sir, how many times did you do that? Not once.
Never.
I guarantee you, not once.
Not once.
Did you do that? Did you go over and say to your wife and your 2 daughters, who are standing right here, you go away for the weekend, I'm going to take charge. Not go over for a visit.
Nope. Never.
So then you have the audacity to sue her and claim that she neglected him. That's outrageous. Put your hand down, sir. Put your hand down. He may be challenged, but you're not. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That is our excuse. You may step out.
What happened to my son is very unfortunate.
He can't understand for himself. He doesn't think for himself.
And it took its toll on our family.
He just knows what everybody tells him.
I changed my whole life for him.
It just hurts to know that he can't know better.
And took care of him and did what a mom should do.
Brian Russell is suing his ex-girlfriend, Patty Haig, for stealing his personal belongings and for taking his money while he was in jail.
Order. All rise.
Now it's case number 475 on the calendar in the matter of Russell versus Haig.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Why don't you folks have a seat, huh?
Ah, Mr. Russell, this is your complaint, sir. You met the defendant, and shortly after you met her, according to you, you found out that you were going to be incarcerated for a period of time. How long?
6 months, Your Honor.
And was that violation of probation? What was it for?
That was for a DUI.
Clearly not your first.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you and the defendant made up the following agreement. While you were incarcerated, the defendant was going to clean up your house where you had lived with your son. I assume this is the son.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the house is probably not fit for human beings with two men living there and not taking care of it. I assume that you knew that, and you told her that if she cleaned up the house and made it ready for renting, that when you got out of prison, you would move in with her and rent the house so that you would have some additional income. So far, correct?
Correct, Your Honor.
The son was living in your house.
Yes.
The defendant and her daughter came to live in your house, and she did what she agreed to do, which was put your house in condition to be rented. Tell me what you did to get the house ready.
Your Honor, you're absolutely right. This house was a complete disaster. I had to have everything done to it. I had to have carpet cleaning. I had to have a maid come in and help clean the walls, the bathrooms. I had to have it painted.
How much of the house was painted?
The living rooms and the boys' bedroom.
Who paid for that?
The kitchen. I did.
Who paid for the renting of the dumpster and all that other stuff?
I have all the receipts right here.
Okay. And that has nothing to do with your labor?
Nothing to do with my labor.
Then you started to have problems with Mr. Russell's son. What kind of problems did you have?
He was doing very bad in school. He was getting D's and F's. Ditching.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Stealing things, stealing cell phones, stealing money.
From whom?
People at the school, I guess. I assume his friends.
Jan down. Okay, so he was having some trouble. All right, so this is what happened, Mr. Russell. The defendant said, I can't deal with this. And he went to live with whom?
My grandparents.
You told Ms. Haig that this wasn't going to work out, that because she couldn't live with your son, you couldn't live with her, and that she would have to move back to her house, and you weren't going to rent your house because you were going to have to move back into your house with your son when you got out of jail. So far correct?
Somewhat correct, yes, Your Honor.
And Ms. Haig left, and it is your claim that she wrote out 2 checks from your checkbook without your permission.
Correct.
And you want that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Defendant says, whatever checks I wrote out with your permission. I used them to cover certain expenses that I had. So let us assume, Mr. Russell, that Ms. Haig has bills in order to put your house in order. Did you compensate her for that?
Yes, Your Honor, somewhat.
How?
I did.
Not somewhat. Did you
yes.
give her $3,000?
Not the whole $3,000, but close to it before I went in.
How much?
I gave her approximately $2,000 cash, bought her a new garage door, which she needed, and a trailer hitch of hers to be installed in my truck to haul her trailer to my house, which she said she would leave into my truck if I paid that money, which she decided not to do.
So what you're telling me is, forgetting all the other fluff, you gave her $2,000 in cash?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he give you $2,000 in cash?
Approximately $2,000, I would say.
Okay. Tell me how much she wrote out of your checking account with the
She wrote 2 checks for $5,450. There was 2 checks, one for $4,800 and one for $650.
Did you give her permission to write out either one of those checks?
No, I did not. I asked her to mail me a blank check, and I would fill it out and give it back to her, which I've got proof.
For what?
For approximately $600, $700 for her efforts, just so we can call it even and depart on good terms.
Mr. Russell, you're making a few things up as we go along, sir. The way you said that to me, just for her efforts. What efforts are you talking about?
Her hauling stuff to the dump. She claimed cleaning the house, painting it.
Well, she was. That's a big job, sir. How long did that take her to do?
I'm not really sure. She had one of my friends helping her do it at no cost. Well,
that's good. How long did it take you to put the house in order?
Over 2 months.
Was she there 2 months?
I don't believe she was living at my house because I was calling her when I was in jail at her house, and she was answering. So she was living at her house, but going to my house to do work.
Okay. So that would be the $650.
Approximately, yes. I was going to write her a check for it, but she decided to do it herself.
Okay. Now, you wrote one check for $4,800. What was that for?
The $4,800 he asked me to write because he was trying to get out of jail in a half time, and he wanted to say he had hardship. He needed to get out and support us, and he wasn't allowed to have any money in his bank. So I sent him a blank check, and the jail would not allow him to have it, and he told me to cash it and get the money out of his bank.
So then what did you do with it?
I kept $2,800 and I put $2,000 in his
What did you do
safe.
with the $2,800?
Paid my bills.
Oh, well, then you owe him that. You can't have it both ways. Do you understand? If he gave you $2,000 in cash and you took $2,800 to satisfy those bills, you can't have it twice. You following me?
Yes.
Good. Did she give you any money?
No, Your Honor, she didn't give me anything back.
Where did you put the money?
In his safe inside his trailer. And I took his trailer, all his stuff back over to his house, and I gave the keys to his parents.
Your Honor, it's a little firebox with a broken lock, doesn't even work.
It's not
a
little.
safe. It's very small, 1 foot by 1 foot, and there was nothing in it but my birth certificate and my son's birth certificate. The trailer wasn't broken into. It was all locked up. She didn't put anything back.
Right. I believe that. I believe she didn't put anything back. You want to know why she didn't put anything back? She didn't put anything back because she was very angry with you.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, I understand that she was angry, but she can't steal your money.
Also,
I didn't steal his money. Your
Yes,
Honor.
you did.
No.
Also, in cleaning
Sure
up
you
my
did.
house, she threw away many things which she didn't have permission to throw away.
Well, that's your problem. You should have been more specific. You should have put red dots on everything that you wanted to keep. You told her to clean up your mess, and she cleaned up your mess.
The whole
Shouldn't
house
such
should have
a
been
mess.
thrown in the dump.
But you can't steal his money if you're
I didn't
angry.
steal his money, Your Honor.
Yes,
I
you
put it
should.
in there.
I don't believe
If
you.
anybody stole it, it's his
I don't
son.
believe you. I don't believe that somebody that after spending 2 months cleaning up somebody else's crap, you know, painting and cleaning and getting people over there and going to the dumpster and making 10 trips to the dumpster, and all of a sudden he says to you, sorry, babe, when I come out, it's over. And you say, all right, sweetheart, I'm going to take this money, I'm going to cash this check, I'm going to leave it all for you. You know, just take what I think is mine. You took what you thought you were entitled to. You can't do that. Things didn't work out, they didn't work out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen, there are women who spend 25 years cleaning up after a man and they end up with nothing. It only took you 2 months to end up with nothing.
And later today,
What kind of drugs were you abusing?
Meth.
That's serious stuff.
Very serious.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Brian Russell says his ex-girlfriend Patty Haig stole his personal belongings and money while he was in jail. Patty claims everything she took was with Brian's permission.
Now, are you keeping the place neat?
Yes, Your Honor. I'm attempting to as best I can with 2 men there.
What does that mean? Are you suggesting to me that men are innately slobs?
I don't know if all are, but we are.
Why? You don't look like a slob, Mr. Russell. Look how nicely you're dressed. Got a nice shirt, you got a nice tie, your son's well dressed, he's got a nice clean shirt on, his hair is cut. As far as I can see, he doesn't have any piercings or anything else that I'm looking at, right?
I would consider my house very clean. If you walked in, you'd say it was probably so-so.
After I got done with it.
Yeah, well, didn't work out. Listen, there are women who spend 25 years cleaning up after a man and they end up with nothing. It only took you 2 months to clean up after your man to end up with nothing. Do you understand?
Yes.
You got to give him back his money. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,800. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think he's a little bit upset about his son not being there and us not being back together.
His grades were bad, but he actually improved them. He got 2 A's and 2 C's his last report card.
He doesn't clean up after himself. All I asked him to do was like pick up after himself.
I was kind of dirty, but I was probably doing 300% better than I usually do.
Next time when I meet someone and I do fall in love, to be careful. Don't leave all your possessions and everything in their control. Be a little more careful and watch your money.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Harris versus Moore. Step forward, please.
James and Beverly Harris are suing business owner Ruth Moore for the cost of their wedding china. The Harrises claim workers from Ruth's catering company damaged several of their pieces.
Mr. and Mrs. Harris, according to what I read, you were having a dinner for approximately 20 or 25 people, is that right?
Yes.
And you hired the defendant's firm to provide 2 servers for the dinner. It is your claim that someone from the defendant's organization damaged some serving pieces of yours, and you found one piece, I assume one of those little pieces over there, those little pieces of glass, in the garbage, thrown away, broken. You want them to pay you $2,321.96. Ms. Moore, how much did the Harrises pay you for the service that you provided?
The Harrises paid the servers directly because they're independent contractors.
And how much did they pay them?
I don't have it in my head.
How much did they pay you?
$110 apiece, plus a gratuity of $25 each.
Have you ever had people serving for you before?
Yes.
From where?
My 3 daughters.
Not your 3 daughters. I'm talking about independent people.
Not on the scale that this party was. I've had my housekeeper help.
Okay. Now, let me see the pieces that you say were damaged.
This is one of the pieces, which is a Dawn water pitcher that is chipped in the front.
Mm-hmm. And what did you use this for?
Water.
And did you place the water pitcher on the table?
The water pitchers, I believe, started off on the table, yes.
And did anyone serve the water other than the servers?
No.
Is that true?
No, not at all.
Stand up.
Thank you.
Tell me your name.
My name is Aaron. I was one of the servers there at the event, and I witnessed 2 of the people not at their table, at the other table closer to the kitchen. I actually noticed one man and one woman, I don't know their names, they're not my friends, but refill their own glasses of water.
Of course they did.
Thank you.
Of course they did. Put that back. Let me see the rest of the damage.
This is a glass bowl that I had purchased just before the event. It has 3 chips in it. This was the piece that came inside of it, which I did not use, that still has the tape mark on it from where the 2 pieces were taped together.
And this was the first time you had used it?
Yes, it is.
Did you wash it first?
Yes.
How did you wash it?
In my sink.
And who washed that bowl?
I did, ma'am.
How did you wash that bowl?
I washed that bowl in her sink by hand.
Okay. You washed the bowl by hand?
Correct.
And she washed the bowl by hand. How do you know she broke your bowl?
Because it was in perfect condition.
How do I know that?
Because I could see that.
How do I know that? What I'm trying to get to you, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, is when you have help in your house, because I read your complaint, when you have help in your house and you have 25 people that you are entertaining, how do I know, for instance, that the piece of glass that one of these pieces that was holding toothpicks that you say you found in the garbage, how do I know that one of your 25 guests didn't do it? How do I know that? I've had people serving before. Sometimes a glass chips, sometimes a plate chips, sometimes a serving piece chips. I would never in my life think of suing the servers for $2,500 because I was dumb enough to use a $2,000 pitcher and serve my company with it. And I don't understand where you're coming from. You think that these 2 people should give you $2,000? You paid them $135, they should give you $2,000?
These people were deceitful, Your Honor, and that's what leads me to believe that this happened because of their negligence.
Just a second. You explain to me how they were deceitful, Mr. Harris.
In the letter that we...
Show me the letter that you're talking about.
In the letter that we were sent by one of the servers, she explains that when they're finished with...
Well, let me see the letter you sent her.
We didn't send her a letter. This was a response to my call to the company stating that we had, the next morning when we were putting the items away, that we had found that these dishes were chipped and one of them was missing. So I immediately called the company because I wanted to let them know right away.
I mean, is this what you say, Mr. Harris, is deceitful? Regarding the shot glass, I have no knowledge as to its eventual whereabouts. I recall using 2 toothpicks with an appetizer and washing one, air and drying one, putting it away. I really didn't give it much thought.
No, Your Honor, that's not what I'm referring to.
Well, that's something that's yellow highlighted.
What I'm referring to is where they say that all the items that they washed were laid out on a table for inspection.
They may have been laid out on a table. I don't know whether you inspected them or not.
Right.
But they said that that's what they were laid out for.
That's what. Why would they take this one item and put it back into the display case?
Which item?
The broken piece.
Listen,
there were 2 of them that they used.
You sound like Sherlock Holmes. You sound ridiculous, Mr. Harris. You sound ridiculous. She says, I don't know what I did with it. I dried one. Maybe we put it back in the display case. You had 25 people. This was for a Passover dinner, according to what I've read.
That's correct.
How many courses did you serve?
3.
3. So that's a minimum of 75 dishes. So you had at least 100 pieces one time or another, coming, going, being washed, put down, reused, and whatever. You want them to remember what they did with a little shot glass like that? What are you, out of your minds?
Nah.
Listen, grow up. Grow up. You had company, something got broken. You're two nice people who did a very stupid thing by suing them because it's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
Your
It's
Honor.
nobody's fault but yours. If you choose to use a $2,000 down pitcher to serve 25 people and it gets chipped, that's your problem. Don't visit it on them. Don't visit it on me. Don't visit it on Bird. And if your daughters do a better job, then next time use your daughters to serve. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was quite a shock. I've never, in 23 years, had such an outlandish claim.
There was insurance on the property, but I felt it wasn't our responsibility to put a claim in.
I don't believe that we were negligent in any way. I've worked for her company for almost 5 years, and I have never had a complaint against me.
They left all of our items out on the table except for the one shot glass, which we found in the trash broken.
People hire us because of our professionalism, and to be sued over chipped ceramic pieces and glass pieces is absurd to me.
20-year-old warehouse stalker Danny Fiala is suing his girlfriend's friend, 21-year-old salesperson Josh Parton, for kicking dents into the side of his truck. Josh claims Danny tried to run him over.
All rise. Yes, case number 226 on the calendar in the matter of Fiala versus Parton. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
You're home and your girlfriend goes out to a party. You get a call from her and she said, do me a favor, come pick me up, I'm ready to go home. So far correct?
Correct.
You're really irritated because you didn't go to the party because you had to get up early to go to work in the morning, and so, but is this the girlfriend?
Yes.
But you got up, you got out of bed, you got into your car, and you went to pick her up at the party. The defendant was at the party. Wasn't your house, was it?
Was my house.
Was your house. According to your complaint, for some reason, he got angry and kicked and dented your car.
Correct.
How many times did he kick your car?
There's 2 visible dents.
He kicked it twice.
Correct.
Mr. Parton says that he did, in fact, put his hands on your car. But he put his hands on your car because you were in a really foul mood and you tried to run him over. And he put his hands on the hood of your car in order to sort of give himself a little leverage to bounce off the car so that you wouldn't kill him, right?
Exactly.
So it was self-defense that you put your hands on the car.
Correct.
And didn't cause any damage.
Correct.
Let's start with date, time, and place. The date this happened, sir.
August 2nd.
Time you got the call from your girlfriend.
2 a.m.
Was it the plan for her to call you to come pick you up?
Yes, the plan was for her to...
Call you and
Call
you were
me.
going to come and get her.
Yeah.
This was an important party, I assume.
Not important to me.
Were you going to work the next day?
Yes.
What day of the week was this?
This was a Saturday morning.
And what kind of work were you doing on Sunday?
I'm a morning stalker.
A morning stalker?
Yeah, S-T-O-C-K, not A-L-K.
Be cute. Jessica, this was an important party?
Not that important.
Important enough to get him out of bed when he has to go to work in the morning to come and pick you up?
Yes.
You think twice about marrying this girl, right? Would you do me that favor? Just think twice about it. She's not wrapped too tight. Or at least pretty immature. She got you up 2 o'clock in the morning. You got into your car. It was a car?
Truck.
Truck. What kind of truck was it?
Ford Ranger.
And what did you do?
I was wearing just what I wear to bed, just football shorts, and I threw a sweatshirt on. I planned on going from my house to the party, drive her back up to her house, and then go down to work, so I had my shoes and stuff in the back of my truck.
What time do you have to be at work?
5 o'clock in the morning.
What'd you plan on doing from 2 to 5?
Probably going over to her house and just waiting there.
Mm-hmm. Well, that gives you a little extra impetus. Okay. So, what happened when you got to the party?
I had showed up and...
How come you and I are the only ones who get it? I don't know either. We've been together too long. Go ahead.
And I didn't know where her house was, so I had called Jen a couple of times because I believe her cell phone was out of service. So I called Jen to get the...
Who's Jen?
Jen is this lady over here. Called Jen a couple of times to get the instructions to the house. By the time I was talking to Jen, I mean, everybody went to the party to get drunk. So everybody there was drunk. So I was talking to her when she was drunk. She wasn't really making any sense. And then she brought up something about our relationship that was like nothing to do with what we were talking about. So
What did she say?
The fact that me and Jessica were having relationship problems. She said she didn't want to talk to me about it because she didn't like me right then or something. She said, even though I hate you, you know, I still have you come pick up Jessica or something like that. I forget what the actual words were.
How old are all these people? How old are you?
I'm 20.
And she?
18.
And this one?
18.
And this one?
21.
What state do you live in?
California.
What's the drinking age here?
21.
21?
21.
Any of these people drinking at your house?
Is
Is not an answer. Is not an answer.
Well, I'm sure that there's definitely people drinking there, but...
No, I said any of these underage people drinking at your house is what I asked you.
Not that I recall, no. I don't remember. I don't remember seeing either one of them with a cup in their hand.
Could you pick your pants up a little bit? I'm afraid they're going to fall off.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
So that got heated, and I told Jen to shut up. I told her just plain out to be quiet. I
No,
told
you
her.
didn't tell her to be quiet. You told her to shut up.
Right. I told her.
Did you use any expletives deleted before you said shut up?
Yes.
That I believe.
Okay. Well.
And I'm impressed by the fact that you actually understood what I was saying. Go ahead.
So I told her to shut up, and by that time I'd hung up the phone and I found out where I was going. I pulled up, and there was probably, counting the two girls, there was probably 5 or 6 people like standing on the curb waiting there, and they all had drinks in their hands. I had my door unlocked.
No, he only had a drink in one hand. He was holding his pants up with the other. Go ahead.
So I pulled up. I had the door unlocked for Jessica because I saw she was standing on the curb. Before she could walk to the car, another guy jumped in front of her, opened up the door, and said, do you want to stick around and party with us? I said, I got to go to work in 2 hours, so I don't want to, and I really didn't want to hang out with the crowd in the first place. That's why I wasn't there.
I want to know what you said. Did you say no, thank you, but thanks for the invitation?
No.
What did you come on.
They said, do you want to stick around? I'm like, no, I got to go to work in an hour.
Okay. That's what you said.
That's what I said.
Nothing more hostile than that.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
So somebody said, what's his problem? And I looked over to the side, and Jessica was pulling the guy away from my door because he was advancing into my truck. Somebody hit my window from this side, and then the kick started coming in here. Jessica got in the car. I revved my engine. I took off forward because I had never taken my foot off the clutch. I was there for probably maybe 15 seconds. So my first initial thing to do was make some noise so like nobody's ripping in my car, and so
They had already started to hit your car.
Yeah, well, I mean, ripping me out of my car and attacking me because I'm in my night clothes. I had.
Well, no, so far nobody had touched you. Is
Well,
that right?
they were advancing towards my car, and the other guy was pulling on my handle saying, open the door. Said,
You just added that in. Go ahead. Keep
okay,
going.
I'm sorry. So she got in the car, I revved my engine, and then backed out of there and went home. And that was that.
How do you know that he kicked your car twice?
I watched him do it.
Can I see the marks on your car?
I think it's funny that he said he pushed off the front of my truck because even though there is a dent on the front of my truck that looks like a footprint, there's also a dent on the rear window that's a footprint. So if he was putting his feet in 2 places that are 6 feet apart to kick off my truck.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He comes up the hill like this, and the tire goes over the curb, and I put my hands up to deflect it. That's right where my
I'll
hands
pay
would've
for
gone.
my other fender if you can do that
That's
too
right
with
where
your hand.
That's right where it would have gone. If I can?
Yeah.
I can. I guarantee you I can.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Danny Fiala says his girlfriend's friend, Josh Parton, kicked dents into the side of his truck.
Now, your girlfriend, after she got off the phone with Mr.
Fiala.
She came in and told you that he had cursed at her. Is that right?
Correct.
You are?
Jennifer?
Jennifer. Jennifer and Jessica. I got to keep, right? Got to keep these straight. Step up here. Jessica.
Jennifer.
Jennifer. I feel like that. The hair the same. You're not twins, are you?
No.
When you told Mr. Parton that you had had a conversation with the plaintiff, what did you tell him that the plaintiff said to you?
I said that he didn't want to come up and that he told me that he was going to like beat me up or something. I don't really remember exactly, but I remember he was saying mean things to me.
He said mean things to you?
Yeah, because he was in a bad mood and I was bringing up stuff I shouldn't have brought up.
And did he curse at you?
I believe so.
And did he threaten you?
Yes.
And you told that to your boyfriend?
Yes.
Before he arrived, is that right?
Yes.
Where were you when you took the call from the plaintiff? Were you inside his apartment or outside?
I was walking down the walkway.
What were you doing?
Talking on the phone to him, because I knew he was about to pull up.
He called first. When he called you the first time, you were in the house.
Oh, yes. Well,
pay attention. Now, why were you walking outside when you answered the phone the second time?
To walk Jessica down to Danny's truck because I knew that he was pulling up.
Why were all these other people with you?
I asked Josh to come.
Why?
To walk with me and to introduce him. And then his friends just followed. I didn't ask them to come.
When you asked, so you just asked Josh to come to introduce him?
Yes.
Because you hadn't had any bad words with him yet, right?
Correct.
Actually, she wanted me to go down there and introduce myself and make him feel comfortable to want to come inside and stay, because she wanted Jessica to stay longer.
But by the time he got there, your girlfriend had already told you that he had cursed at her, correct?
Well, yeah, beforehand.
That he had threatened her, right?
Right.
That he made her feel bad, right?
That's what she told me, right? But at the same time...
Shh. And that he did all those things, and you're telling me that you greeted him when he pulled up in the truck and wanted to introduce yourself to him and make him feel comfortable so that he would come back to the party. Is that what you said?
Even he said that was the first thing that we said to him when he came up, right? I mean, because whether or not she's being mean to her on the phone, if she asked him to go down there and make someone feel comfortable to want to come in and chill, then why would I not do that?
She wasn't asking you to make him feel comfortable anymore after he cursed at her and threatened her that he was going to beat her up, Mr. Parton. What are you kidding? All right. Now, how many people came downstairs?
It was me, her, Jessica, and two of my other friends.
Two of your other friends. What are their names?
Josh.
Is not an answer.
Josh and Ryan.
How do you know Ryan?
He lives next door.
How old is he?
19 or 20.
And Josh, how do you know Josh?
Well, he was next door too.
Josh work or go to school?
Doesn't do either.
How old is he?
At least 21, because you can buy alcohol. He's at least 21.
So you had two people there who could buy alcohol, you and Josh, is that right?
And many other, probably everyone else.
No, you just told me that there were, I asked you who was there, you told me. One,
no, you
two,
said who went down
three,
to the car.
Who went downstairs to the car.
Right.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
There was more people inside, that was what I'm saying.
There were, you, 21, the owner of the premises where the alcohol was served. Two, Josh, not the owner of the premises where the alcohol was served, and two minors.
Right.
Who had both been drinking, right?
Yes.
What were you drinking?
Beer.
What else? Because you hesitated for a minute. What else?
Well, because just beer.
Why would you hesitate if I said, what are you drinking? You said...
Because I had to think about it. I don't remember. I've drank another stuff. That one night was just beer.
What were you drinking?
Beer.
Anything else?
I had a Bloody Mary.
So there was other liquor there other than just beer. Now, why don't you explain to me, Mr. Parton, how it came about that you put your hands on the plaintiff's car?
Well, that's funny that you asked, because that's the last thing that he forgot to mention in his little statement, was that after she did get inside the car, he backed up and then came charging at us at least twice, trying to hit us. His tire came over the curb and tried to hit us.
Really?
So, like you said in the beginning, if something's coming at you, I'm going to put my hands out to deflect myself, and that happens to be on the right side. On the, if you look on the picture, I was standing on my sidewalk. It goes down like this. If he comes up the hill like this, then if he's come and the tire goes over the curb and I put my hands out to deflect it, that's right where my hands would have gone.
I'll pay for my other fender if you can do that
that's
too
right
with
where
your hand.
That's right where it would have gone. If I can?
Yeah.
I can. I guarantee you I can.
Step up. Did you see your boyfriend try to run anybody over that night?
He did like a burnout. Sorry.
What's a burnout?
Like you rev the engine and to like get them away from his truck.
Yes.
And then he went forward and then he reversed and we left.
He went forward?
At us.
At them?
Well, he was, I don't know, revving. It was like on a hill and it would stick.
Did you see anyone surround the car when you got in the car and make a move towards your boyfriend to try to get him out of the car?
Yes.
Who did that?
I'm not sure. I didn't know them.
Well, there weren't that many people down there, madam.
And just remember, I pulled one guy out of the truck because I wanted to get in the passenger seat. I don't know who he was, though.
Who was that?
I don't have no idea. I don't have any idea.
Well, it's either Josh or Ryan.
I don't remember. It wasn't me. I mean, I'm the one that's being sued. If someone else is climbing in their car, you should be suing them, right?
Mm-hmm. How much did you have to drink?
Shoot. Honestly, I don't remember.
And How was it that Josh and Ryan accompanied you outside?
Maybe they wanted to help me introduce myself to him. Maybe they were happy to just be out smoking a cigarette and someone pulls up and I honestly don't remember. I didn't tell if what you're looking for is if I asked them to accompany me. That's not. I did not ask them to accompany me. I swear to God, I didn't.
Maybe she did.
Well, I did. I know I didn't.
Was she crying when she spoke to you about how nasty he was on the phone?
Nope.
Just annoyed.
The last thing that she said was not he's calling me names. The last thing that she said to me was go out there, introduce yourself to him, and make him feel comfortable so that Jessica will want to stay longer.
Somebody who just cursed her and threatened to beat her up? That's what she said.
That's what she said.
She must have had a lot to drink.
Or just wanted her friend to stay.
Can I see the estimate for this dent on the side of your car? Mr. Parton, there was a big party going on. Everybody at the party had had a little too much to drink. I'm not saying that I condone somebody revving up their car, but I believe that your girlfriend told you that she had been insulted by the plaintiff. He's the only sober one there. He's coming there for the sole purpose of picking up his girlfriend. He hasn't been partying all night. His car got damaged. He says it got damaged as a result of you kicking it. You say it got damaged as a result of you putting your hands on the car. I have to make a judgment as to who I believe and whether or not this damage to this car, in my judgment, can be done or was done by somebody who's pushing off with their hand or somebody who kicked it. I vote for the kick. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,800. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think he's made.
Obviously, that dent wasn't put there by a hand pushing off my truck, so.
I think he was scared the whole time.
Just don't hang around with these kind of people.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Mayers versus Reedy. Step forward, please.
20-year-old hospital patient transporter Terrence Mayers is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old clothing salesperson Nicole Reedy, for breaking an apartment lease. Nicole is countersuing, claiming she paid Terrence's bills while he was unemployed.
Mr. Mayers, you and Miss Reedy had a relationship and decided to move into an apartment together. You signed the 6-month lease. According to your complaint, the defendant moved out 2 months shy of the 6 months. Is that right?
Correct.
And you want her to be responsible for her portion of the lease because you moved in together with the understanding that you would each be responsible for 50% of the bills.
Correct.
In addition, you want her to be responsible for some furniture that was purchased, I assume purchased for this apartment.
Correct.
You claim that the furniture was purchased because the defendant wanted the furniture, so you purchased it on your credit card.
Right.
You have the furniture,
In storage, yes, I do.
but you want her to pay for it because she wanted it.
Right.
Ms. Reedy has a counterclaim. She says for the majority of the time that you lived together, you weren't working. She paid the bills. So she's got a counterclaim. Is that right?
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out in May, but I still paid that rent. We both did not physically move out until June, the beginning of June.
Okay, so nobody paid June's rent and nobody paid July's rent.
I paid June's. The lease actually goes through August.
So it's really just July and August.
Right.
2 months, not paid. Where were you working in February of 2003?
I was working for Manpower, and I have a letter stating the dates that I was employed through them.
Let me see the letter. Okay, so you worked for them until March of 2003.
Correct.
Who did you work for after March?
In May, I began working for...
Just a second. So you didn't work for anybody in April?
No, ma'am.
Who paid the rent in April?
I borrowed money from my older brother, and...
Show me.
I don't have that with me.
You weren't coming to a dance today, so you were coming to court. So who paid May's rent?
We both paid. We split it.
Could you split it if you weren't working?
I borrowed money from my brother.
Again, and you have no proof of that, is that right?
No, ma'am.
All right, let's talk about April and May's rent. Do you have proof that you paid it?
I have proof for May's.
That'll do.
These are, I had to do money orders, and the rent was $5.95. There's one for $4.95 and one for $100.
Now, let's talk about the rent. He says he borrowed money from his brother. Is that true?
No, it is not. That is a lie.
Who paid the rent?
I did.
When he wasn't working?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Mayers, I want you to start off with this premise, sir. The premise is that I do not believe you borrowed money from your brother to contribute to the rent. Okay?
Okay.
That she paid the rent for those 2 months because you were out of work. Now, there are 2 months left remaining on the lease. That's pretty much a quid pro quo. Pay it. We understand each other?
Right.
Good. Now let's talk about the furniture.
We both, when we first moved into the apartment, we went down to IKEA and we picked out furniture. So we went to go apply for an IKEA card. She was denied. She had overextended her credit, so I ended up having to put it on mine. And when she moved out, you know, I tried to, you know, work things out to where we both pay this bill off, but she ignored my phone calls. And
well, but you have the furniture.
she didn't want it. When she moved out, she just took the bed and that was it.
Go ahead, I'll hear you.
When we moved out, I stated to him that whoever takes the furniture should take the bill, and he told me he was taking everything.
Now, Miss Reedy, I'm going to get to your counterclaim. You're entitled to nothing, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you wrote in your answer, we lived together as a married couple. He was out of work for a while. You covered the rent. You moved out, he's got to pay the last 2 months. That's a wash. You understand?
Yes.
So, you got the furniture?
Yes, ma'am.
You pay the bill. She covered 2 months when you were out of work? You cover the last 2 months.
There's still utilities and I add on like the water bill and things
Listen
like
to me. For the months that you were out of work, she paid those bills.
She didn't pay all the bills by herself.
Well, sir, listen to me. You're not going to find a court that's going to go over an $11.95 bill and say, well, she didn't pay the whole thing. You were out of work. She covered the bills, because I don't believe that you borrowed money from your brother. When she moved out, and she had no right to move out, sticking you with the rent, if in fact you're going to pay the rent to the landlord and not make him chase you all over town, you cover that bill, because she did when you needed her. Right? Goodbye. Have a happy life.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I already started making.
As soon as she turned 21, she'd go out every night and drink and party and stuff. You know, that's not my lifestyle. That's not how I do it.
He had gone out all the time with his friends and stayed out till 3, 4 in the morning, and if I go and do it, I get yelled at and told I'm never to do that again.
She ended up getting a restraining order on me, saying I harassed her and her family.
He started calling me every day at work, at home. He started cussing me out over the phone.
I'm stuck now with paying the bill that, you know, we should both be having to pay.
I was glad just to be out of the relationship.
23-year-old student Kim Siegel is suing assistant grocery store manager Sherry Starkey for damage to her vehicle. Kim says Sherry's 15-year-old son Jonathan ran into her car with his skateboard. Sherry is countersuing for her son's medical bills.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Now, this is case number 259 on calendar in the matter of Siegel versus Starkey. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Well, stand up here. Miss Siegel, I assume this young man is the young man who you allege hit your car while he was skateboarding in a parking lot, causing the windshield to shatter. You want his mother, and he, to be responsible for the damage to your car.
Yes.
Miss Starkey says that you hit her son because you probably were driving recklessly through the parking lot, and she wants you to be responsible for his medical bills. He was slightly injured. You were very lucky. What is happening? What kind of look is that?
I got scars from it. I have a scar and then...
You could have been dead.
Yes, I know that.
So then you were very lucky.
Yes, ma'am, I was.
That's all. I knew I'd get there. All right, Miss Siegel, do you want to tell me when this happened and your version of the events?
Yes, it happened May 30th of this year. I was driving through
the parking lot of Albertsons. It was a full parking lot. I was going about 20 miles an hour.
Where were you coming from and going to?
I was coming from these stores right here, and I was getting ready to pull out on Justin Road. I was going through almost to the road that goes into Wendy's, and I look up, and there's a kid on my windshield. And I slammed on my brakes, and he flew off. I put it in park and went out and made sure he was okay.
What time of the day was this, about 3 o'clock?
Yeah, it was about 3 o'clock. I have pictures of my windshield, and I have a picture of the parking lot.
Let me see pictures of windshield, pictures
And
of
then
the parking
I have pictures of my car, and there's an arrow with the damage. We've had the damage since been fixed.
You didn't take a picture of the dent?
No. I have a police report that says where the damage was.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Okay. It's on the back right there. It's his statement, the police's
You're
statement.
very lucky. What's your first name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan, you're very lucky.
Yes, ma'am.
Must have a very hard head. Were you wearing a helmet?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell the police that you darted across the parking lot?
No, ma'am.
What did you tell the police that you did?
I didn't. They never took a statement from me, ma'am.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Police officer didn't lie. Police officer asked you a question, and you said the pedestrian, that was you, advised that he darted across the parking lot and never saw the vehicle.
I did see the vehicle, but it was further back in the parking lot. And when I got 3/4 of the way through the lane that she was traveling down, and then Heather, the lady that was coming the opposite direction of her, saw me and stopped. And like I saw her, but I figured she was going to stop because the witness had stopped because she had saw me before I'd even gotten the street. So I guess...
So you figured that she would stop. You figured that she saw you too. You made a mistake.
Yes, I did.
There we go. That's why we're here.
But she also, I'm assuming she was on her, I'm positive that she was on her cell phone. And there was...
Just a minute, listen to me. You think, you assume, you're positive? What was it? You think, you assume, or you're positive?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Just a second. We're going to get there. So, one lady, I assume this lady was coming in the opposite direction.
Yes,
She
ma'am.
saw you and stopped her car.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you weren't in the right. You didn't have the right of way. You did not have the right of way. There's no stop sign there, right? And you're not supposed to be skateboarding in the parking lot, right? So you assume this lady saw you and stopped, so you assume the other person was going to stop because she must have seen you also, right? Well, what if she didn't see you?
That's what happened if she didn't see
Then
me.
you should have stopped because you saw her. It was clear you saw her.
There was no way I could have stopped.
Why? Were you going too fast?
Yes, ma'am. Because
Well, then you shouldn't have been going too fast in the parking lot, sir. That's not what a parking lot is for. What if there was a little child walking across the street? You would have hit the little child on your skateboard?
No, ma'am.
Well, you would have if you couldn't stop. If you couldn't stop, you were going too fast.
I would have moved.
Well, then why didn't you move if you saw her car?
Because of the moment. If the child was walking one way, I could have moved this way. The car was going at such a fast rate that I couldn't. That's enough to where I could hit, and it's a bigger
Do you understand
vehicle.
what he's saying? He's making no sense. None. I'll hear you. Step up. Mother wasn't there. You were there. You were driving a car. You don't know who he is. You don't know who she
No,
is.
I don't know either one of them.
You were driving your car. You saw him coming down the street.
I was pulling in right here. I saw her car. Her car was all the way back here when I saw her. I mentioned to my daughter, I said, surely she sees that child. She was on her cell phone, and he was 3/4 across this divider right here. He was almost to the other side when she hit him. It was not this child's fault. I don't have anything to gain from coming to court and
You're
testifying for
absolutely
this
right.
little boy. She jumped out of her car. I threw my car into park. I jumped out to see him because she hit him in such a force. He went up in the air. His shoe went off. He hit the windshield, bounced on the hood, bounced on the floor. And when I went to the boy's aid, he's on the ground. And at the time, I assumed he was dead. And by her own admission, she was speeding 20 miles an hour in a 5-mile-an-hour parking lot. She jumped out of her car, cell phone in hand, screaming at this child. Excuse me. Screaming at this child, "You hit my car. Look what you did to my car." The whole time she screamed at this child saying that, at one point the police officer had to tell her to shut up. And this child is bleeding from the head. He's bleeding from the arm. His shoe is off over in the other side of the car.
Was there a stop sign where you were? Were you crossing over?
I had actually just turned on to right here. I'm here on 407, fixing to turn into the parking lot to go to...
so you were just turned in.
And when I was turning in, she was here.
Okay.
And if she had been paying attention, she would have seen the child. There's no way she couldn't have if she had not been on that cell phone and had not been speeding.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He hit the left front corner panel. He hit me. He skated into the side of my car.
If I find that you were on a cell phone, I don't care whether he came in through the sunroof.
And later today,
You acknowledge that you did toss pudding out of the car.
Yes.
What kind of pudding? Chocolate pudding, vanilla pudding?
It was a vanilla chocolate swirl.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kim Siegel says 15-year-old Jonathan Starkey ran into her car with a skateboard. Jonathan says Kim was on her cell phone when she hit him.
Well, I'm pretty confident, based upon what you tell me, that she had a cell phone in her hand.
Oh, yes, she did.
Oh, I believe that. Now I believe that. I didn't believe it when he said it.
He was
because
horrified.
I don't think he saw it, because I don't think he was paying attention to anything. But I believe it when you tell me that she had a cell phone in her hand.
No. Yes. Okay. She was 30 feet in front of, there's a big space between where the Wendy's parking lot and C. There's no way she could have seen in my car or seen what I was doing. And I had both hands on the steering wheel. My cell phone was in my purse next to me. And I didn't yell at the boy. I got out to make sure he was okay. I got my cell phone. I called 911. She sat him down on the rock and was telling him not to move because he could have internal injuries. And all Jonathan kept saying was, I'm fine, don't tell my mom, I've fallen and gotten hurt worse, I'm okay, just let me go home,
So?
No.
What does that have to do with being on a cell phone?
Well, I wanted to say I wasn't.
Why would she say that you were on a cell phone if you weren't? Do you know her?
No, I don't.
She doesn't know this lady at all. Why would she say that you were on a cell phone?
I don't know. I wasn't on my cell phone.
Yeah, you were.
No.
Yeah, you were.
I was not on my cell phone. It was in my purse.
I don't believe that. There is a basis for you to tell me you weren't on your cell phone, but there's no basis for her to lie. And I don't think that you have to necessarily see somebody who's speeding through using a skateboard in a parking lot. It's not what he's supposed to do. I mean, there's no question. You understand that. You're not supposed to be on your skateboard in a parking lot, going too fast so that you can't stop. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, you're not blameless, but I believe you were on a cell phone. And since you're driving the car, and the car is a bigger piece of equipment, madam, you don't get a penny. I believe that you were on the cell phone. I do. I also think, stand up here, I also think that you have to accept a certain amount of responsibility for what happened. She wasn't looking where she was going because she was on a cell phone, but she wasn't looking out for a skateboarder. She was in a parking lot, and you were going too fast in the parking lot, and you got hurt, fortunately, not seriously, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of medical bills did you have?
I had to go, the ambulance ride there, and then I had to go to the hospital for the emergency room fee. And they had to clean up some stuff on my head and my arm.
Okay. Let me see the bills that you had.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Uh-huh.
I was traveling only about 15 to 20 miles an hour. The police weren't really sure how fast. And he hit the left front corner panel. He hit me. He skated into the side of my car.
If I find that you were on a cell phone, I don't care whether he came in through the sunroof. I believe you were on your cell phone. That's what I believe. Okay. I believe that because you say you weren't.
I was
She
not.
says you were. And she has absolutely no reason to lie. Okay. All right, let me see the bills. Jonathan, your pain and suffering you have to deal with yourself. I'm not entertaining any applications for your pain and suffering because stay out of parking lots.
Yeah, I know. I'm way more careful than what I was.
Good. Now, when you're dealing with a pedestrian, you have to be so vigilant. That's why they have 5-mile speed limits in parking lots rather than 15 or 20. Because people dart out of cars, kids get into a car, they get away from their parents. You know, parents drop their hands for a second, kid darts out. So 20 miles an hour, you can kill them. 5 miles an hour, they have a chance. That doesn't mean a parking lot is there for your pleasure and for your amusement and entertainment. It's not. Because she has to be vigilant looking for people coming out of cars, and she has to be vigilant with respect to cars in and out of the parking lot, but not somebody who's speeding at probably far greater speed than 20 miles an hour on your skateboard. You got me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Now, if she had a cell phone in her hand, which I believe she's not entitled to recover, Period. End of discussion. And you have to pay for the medical bills, madam, because she's not responsible because you were at fault. He was no genius, but he's a baby. He's 15 years old. All right, judgment for the defendant on the counterclaim in the amount of $532. The claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Got a phone call saying my son had been hit by a car.
He had hit right above my left tire and went up on my windshield, and I slammed on the brakes.
I was worried, and I shook the whole rest of the way to where I was going.
My windshield was shattered, and I have a kid on my windshield.
He said that she got out of the car, and all she was worried about was her car.
Shock, hysteria. I was a nutcase.
This child has had sleepless nights because of it.
Personal trainer Kenneth Banks is suing his neighbor, 21-year-old cable locator Ches Garcia, for having him falsely arrested for assault. Ches is countersuing for medical bills and pain and suffering.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Now, this is case number 165 on the calendar in the matter of Banks versus Garcia. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Mr. Banks, it is your claim that the defendant had you falsely arrested for assault. This was not the first altercation that you've had with him, but you claim that this time you were tried and ultimately found not guilty after a jury trial. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
You want him to compensate you in the amount of $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia says that you did, in fact, assault him. He has the injuries to prove it. He is counterclaiming for $5,000 for the assault. So, what created this problem between the two of you? Do you live close by to each other?
5 doors away, ma'am.
And how long have you lived 5 doors away from the defendant?
I've lived in my current residence just under 4 years, ma'am.
What about you, Mr. Garcia? How long have you lived in your current residence?
I've lived there for 9 years.
When did you and Mr. Garcia start to have difficulty, Mr. Banks?
Even May, we had...
May of what year, sir?
2002.
So for a long time you lived there peacefully with Mr. Garcia?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's try to find out what the catalyst was in May 2002 that created the problem.
Mr. Garcia drove through the neighborhood, speed limit being 25. He drove approximately 40 miles an hour past my house. Witnesses here were both across the street.
He drove by 40 miles an hour in a car?
Motorcycle.
On a motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Garcia, when did you get a motorcycle, sir?
About a month before then.
So before you got the motorcycle, everything was just dandy?
Yes.
So would you say, Mr. Garcia, that the problem was precipitated by your motorcycle?
Yes, Your Honor.
See how much progress we're making? Okay, Mr. Banks, let's have the incident that you are referring to today with regard to the false arrest.
That evening, Mr. Garcia...
Give me the date.
July 15th, 2002.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Garcia instigated a fight with individuals at a party.
How did he do that?
He drove very close to an individual who was giving the party.
Where did that individual live?
There would be 3 houses from Mr. Garcia.
And he was on his motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
He had a verbal altercation, at which time there was a shoving match, and he got punched in the head, knocked him out. They tried to retrieve his senses, put him back on his motorcycle, and sent him home. When his senses came back, he got upset, continued the fight. The fight resulted in various bruises and injuries that he's got pictures of.
And you took no part in that?
I watched.
How many people were at the party, Mr. Banks?
Approximately 20.
How many men?
I would say half were men.
So 10 men?
Yes, ma'am.
Of the 10 men, how many participated in the beating of Mr. Garcia?
About 5, ma'am.
And you were present at all times?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me the names of the 5.
I can give you 3 who I do not know. Isaac, Daniel, and David.
Did you tell that to the police?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I was accused of being involved in it. It was not my job to do the inquiry as to...
Well, if somebody said to me, I was accused, I would say, listen, I was there, and I wasn't unhappy that this guy was getting beat up because, you know, he was a jerk before, and I did nothing to help him. But it wasn't me who beat him up. I can give you the names of the people who beat him up. Don't take me to jail. I didn't do it. Wouldn't that sound like what a normal person would do?
I did not physically have the altercation with him, and he deserved what he asked for. No, I was not giving him the names.
Now, you were arrested, Mr. Banks. Did you retain a lawyer?
Yes, ma'am.
I assume that your lawyer made a motion to dismiss the case,
Several times.
and that motion to dismiss was denied.
Yes, ma'am.
What criminal act were you tried on? Assault in what degree?
Assault, bodily injury.
So it was a felony.
No, misdemeanor, Class A, ma'am.
Did Mr. Garcia testify?
Yes, ma'am.
Did he have witnesses who testified also?
No, ma'am.
Did you testify?
No, I did not testify, ma'am.
Did you have witnesses who testified on
Yes,
your
ma'am.
behalf? Are any of those witnesses here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Which witnesses?
Both, ma'am.
Both were there that
Yes.
evening.
Alan and Anita. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, step up, sir. Tell me your last name.
Goodner?
You were there on the evening of the 15th of July?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what you saw.
Ches drove by on his motorcycle. I think there was a beer can thrown or something like that
At him?
at him.
Okay,
Someone
so he
in the
didn't
party.
just go by.
No,
he
he
didn't
did. He tried to run over. I mean, people were in the street, and he did speed by. He turned back around. And he started having
After
words
s-
with everybody.
After somebody threw a beer can at him.
No. Well,
Yes.
yes, he did turn around after the beer can, but I'm
Just
sure he
pay
would turn around
atten-
anyway.
Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Don't anticipate what I'm going to say, Mr. Goodner.
Yes, ma'am.
Just listen very carefully. Put all your thinking caps on.
Yes, ma'am.
And think very carefully about what I'm saying so that you can give me a truthful answer. Because if you don't give me the truthful answer, I will make you look very foolish, and you don't want that
Yes,
in front
ma'am.
of 10 million people.
Yes, ma'am.
So he turned around because somebody threw a beer can at him.
Yes, that's correct.
And then what happened?
He got off the motorcycle and approached Isaac and pushed him. Pushed him several times, and Isaac finally had enough of it, and then that's when he hit him. He got knocked out for a few seconds and got back up and proceeded to fight him. And that's when everybody jumped in to get him off of Isaac.
Who's everybody?
Several people.
Name them.
David, Isaac, and Daniel.
What about you?
No, ma'am, I did not. I didn't want to take part in any part of this because
Well, give me the names of the other people who were there.
I really don't. I know Matt was there. That's about it. Only half of them were my friend.
And what about Mr. Banks? Where was he?
In the driveway, talking to Tanya, a girl
Who's
there.
Tanya?
A girl that lived at the house.
Okay. Would you step up? Sure. Your name?
Anita Dore.
Are you a neighbor?
Yes, I am.
How long have you lived in the neighborhood?
I have been in the house 3.5 years.
Mr. Garcia's motorcycle, has it presented a problem in the neighborhood?
Oh, yes, it has.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, we have a long stretch in front of our street from stop sign to stop sign, and he zooms by, doesn't stop at the stop sign, and it's always real fast. And I had asked him, to slow down because my children could be in the yard or, playing or in the street, and accidents happen.
And what did he say?
He informed me that if they were in the effing street, then he would effing run over them.
What's wrong with you, Mr. Garcia?
Ma'am, I've never said that. I've never talked to this woman before.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I said, okay, well, how do you know I was speeding? It's a motorcycle. It's loud. I stopped at the stop sign.
You shouldn't be riding a loud motorcycle at 12:30 in the morning, Garcia. You understand?
Ma'am, it's really not that loud, but...
It's that loud.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kenneth Banks says neighbor Ches Garcia had him falsely arrested for assault. Ches says Kenneth beat him up.
Mr. Garcia, you seem to have a problem with your motorcycle.
I
You lived peacefully in a neighborhood for 9 years, no problem with you. Then you bought a motorcycle and all this trouble started, sir.
I haven't ridden a motorcycle since.
Since you got beaten up?
Right.
Well, that's a good idea, Mr. Garcia, and I assume you haven't had problems since. Mr. Banks, let me explain to you, sir, why you have no case. You went to trial in a criminal case. At the end of the case, after Mr. Garcia testified, your lawyer made a motion to dismiss that case, as every good lawyer does. The judge who heard that case said, no, no, no. This case has to proceed to the end because there is sufficient evidence to establish that you were involved in that beating. If your case had been dismissed and the judge said there is no evidence whatsoever linking Mr. Banks to this assault, then you might have been able to proceed civilly against Mr. Garcia. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm not so sure, Mr. Banks, that you weren't involved. You may not have started it. You were certainly happy that it was happening, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Should never be happy when somebody is getting pulverized, sir. The fact that he may have been endangering some people in the neighborhood by reckless driving of this motorcycle does not mean that he deserves to lose his life. Now you may be seated for a moment. Now I'm going to get to your counterclaim, Mr. Garcia. I assume you have some terrible pictures for me to see.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Banks, so that you'll understand this, he is allowed to proceed against you civilly, even if you were found not guilty by a jury, because the quantum of proof in a criminal case at the end of the whole case is by beyond a reasonable doubt. And the jury found that you were not guilty by beyond a reasonable doubt. They did not find that you were innocent. Quantum of proof here in this case is proof by a preponderance of the evidence, just a little bit of evidence, more so than not. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, please hand Officer Byrd the photographs, and you tell me, sir, your version of what happened, Mr. Garcia, on the 15th of July.
It was around 1 o'clock in the morning. I was coming home from work on my motorcycle. I was slowing down to stop at the stop sign that's in front of the house where the party was going on, and somebody threw a beer can at me. So I turned around and I said, what's the problem? And they started telling me I better get out of there and this and that. And when I looked up, I see Mr. Banks coming from in between two cars in the driveway, and I tell him, don't touch me, don't talk to me. I've got a lawsuit against you right now. And they said, if you talk to me, you'll be arrested. Well, when I said that, he turned his head and he bit me in the nose. At that point, I freaked out and I took off and I turned around, and then I hear somebody yelling, you tried to hit me. I got pushed off of my motorcycle, and me and Isaac started fighting, and the next thing I know, I have 4 people on top of me kicking me in the face. They broke my eye socket. I've got 2 titanium plates in there forever. I can't wear contacts anymore. They broke my nose.
Did you sue the other people?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I haven't had a chance yet.
What do you mean you haven't had a chance yet?
This has been going on for a year. Really, I'm at the point where I just want to be left alone.
Just a second. Mr. Garcia, do you have the police report that you filed?
I didn't actually file it. The police officer wrote it when I was in the hospital. And
How many people were tried for the assault?
Just 1.
Why is that?
I didn't know any other names.
Well, what kind of an investigation was done by the police, sir?
They didn't do anything. They really didn't.
Well, Mr. Garcia, that's outrageous, sir. I mean,
I know.
Here we have Isaac, David, and Daniel. Very easy to figure out. They all have last names. What's Isaac's last name?
That we don't know.
We knew.
David.
No clue.
Daniel.
I have no clue.
Don't believe any of you. Who are you?
Chez's mother.
Were you there that evening, the 15th of July?
I was at home. I didn't witness any of the attack. But the police officer, when we were in the hospital, he said we had to get the names.
Listen to me. That's not your job. The police department is supposed to do the investigation.
Right.
I'm outraged. What country do you live in?
We live in Texas, and this whole thing has just been preposterous.
How old is your son?
My son is 21.
Okay. Who bought him the motorcycle when he was 19?
He bought it himself.
I was actually 20 when I bought it.
Where is it now?
It's sitting in the backyard.
Sell it.
I'm going to. I'm trying.
That's a very good idea.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I opened the door and I grabbed the knife out of the kitchen and I told him to get out of my yard. Well, he runs off down the street and he gets a pistol out of his truck and he comes into my front yard, sticks the gun to my head, walks me all the way into my house.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kenneth Banks says neighbor Chez Garcia had him falsely arrested for assault. Chez says Kenneth beat him up.
You still live close to each other?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can I say something, ma'am?
Sure.
Mr. Garcia says I bit him. If you would look at the photos, you'll see no bite marks on it.
There is no indication in any of the photographs that he was bitten in the nose.
Ma'am, actually, there is a picture of my nose, and I have 2 marks on each side of the nose.
Sir, these 2 marks on this side of your nose could not have been made by a human being.
Well, I mean, he did. He bit me in the nose, and then Alan told me that I was lucky I wasn't killed because he's an ex-Marine.
Oh, I believe that the whole mob scene could have killed you. I'm just absolutely amazed that you didn't pursue these other people.
I tried to my fullest, and the officer wouldn't return our calls. We got a hold of the DA to try to get her to get a hold of him, and it just didn't go through.
I don't know why it didn't go through. But I'm going to tell you something, Mr. Banks. How old are you, sir?
38, ma'am.
Whether or not you participated in this assault, I am appalled that you sat back and watched. I mean, he's 20 years old. 20 years old is a moron. You're double his age. You can have a child his age. You permitted him to be assaulted badly, where they really could have killed him because you think he deserved it because he was driving his motorcycle too fast.
Ma'am, that was not why I let it go on.
Well, then you tell me, Mr. Banks, why you let it go on.
Prior incident when he lied to the police, I spent a night in jail. At that point, no, I was not going to get involved in it.
Another incident that involved an alleged assault?
Yes, ma'am.
When was that?
June 6, 2002.
And you were arrested?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened to that case?
That was no bail by the grand jury, ma'am.
Were you assaulted on June 6th?
It was actually May 11th. What had happened is I was driving home from down the street. It was about 12:30.
On your motorcycle?
Yes, ma'am.
12:30 in the morning or at night?
12:30 in the morning. And I hear beating on my door about 10 minutes after I get home. I open the door and I see Mr. Banks and Alan at my front door. I had never met them before. I walked outside and I said yes. And he said, you're speeding and I don't appreciate this and that. And I said, who are you? And he says, well, I live over there. And I said, okay, well, how do you know I was speeding? It's a motorcycle. It's loud. I stopped at the stop sign.
You shouldn't be riding a loud motorcycle at 12:30 in the morning, Garcia. You understand?
Ma'am, it's really not that loud. But
it's that loud.
Anyway, he proceeded to push me up against the brick wall, and I smelled the alcohol on his breath. And I said, look, you need to leave or I'm going to call the cops. And he's told me if that's what I better do if I know what's right for me. And he kept pushing me against the wall. And at that point, I opened the door and I grabbed the knife out of the kitchen and I told him to get out of my yard. Well, he runs off down the street and he gets a pistol out of his truck and he comes into my front yard, sticks the gun to my head at the driveway and walks me all the way into my house.
So what happened with that case?
They never contacted me. All I heard was it was no bill and they couldn't tell me anything.
The only thing that I have to decide today is whether or not he's responsible for your beating.
Right.
You want to say something else?
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of Ken, do I approach her?
Sure.
Well, that night, whenever the knife got pulled, he pulled it on. He ran after Ken. I stood in front of the knife for Ken. Ken came back, felt I was in danger while his dogs were running after Ken. Ken came back with the gun on behalf of my life.
What did you go over to his house for?
Because it's better than calling the cops. And do neighborly thing, go over and just talk to him. You know, I'd be mad if someone called the cops on me. Go over and talk to him. It wasn't as violent as it thinks. He flipped out. He came outside running. You could hear him scraggling
What
in the
were
kitchen.
you doing with Mr. Banks at 12:30 in the morning?
Hanging out.
Hanging out and drinking?
Yes, ma'am, I was drinking.
Yes. Sit down.
Yes, ma'am.
You have something to contribute to this?
Yes, ma'am. About 3 days ago, I was at my other next-door neighbor's house.
You're his brother?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
And he comes up and tries to talk to me, and I don't really want to have anything to do with him.
Who's he?
Alan. And it boils down to where he was saying that it's real manly for Mr. Banks to pull a gun on my brother, saying that he's lucky, my brother is lucky that he didn't get shot that night.
You think that everybody got a little hot?
Yeah.
I think so, too. I'm absolutely amazed that the district attorney in Texas did not pursue the case against these other people. I'm unimpressed by the fact that an ex-Marine would allow a mob, if I were to believe him, to assault a youngster in his presence. You are under no obligation to stop that mob. But I think to say I'm an ex-Marine is sort of besmirching, in my judgment, that branch of the military. Because I think that your behavior that day, even if you did not participate in this assault, was abominable, Mr. Banks. Understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You don't have a case against Mr. Banks, Mr. Garcia, because I am not satisfied that aside from looking and gloating over the fact that you were getting the crap kicked out of you, that he actually participated in this assault. And Mr. Banks, you have no case against Mr. Garcia, because, as I said, the district attorney and the judge presiding over the trial, your trial, for assault, felt that there was sufficient evidence to proceed and give it to a jury. And our justice system does not give you 2 bites of the apple. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. Step out.
If somebody's going to endanger my children, I feel I got the right to at least approach you about it.
I think he came to my house that night, and because I pulled a knife on him, he felt like he needed to be the real man about it, and he retaliated.
Somebody pull a knife and stick some dogs on you, you get what you deserve.
He says in there he got what he deserved. I wouldn't even wish that on him.
Student Michael Haas is suing technician Linda Terhune for pouring soda on his head in a movie theater. Linda says Michael was talking during the film.
Comfy?
Thank you.
Your Honor, this is case number 228 on the calendar in the matter of Haas versus Terhune.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. Haas, was this the gentleman who was with you at the movie theater on the day of the incident?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, Mr. Haas, the defendant assaulted you by spilling soda on your head in the movie theater. And you were injured. Your eye became infected. Something happened to your eye as a result of that. I read the defendant's answer, and quite frankly, she doesn't deny that she did it. But in effect, her defense is that you're a crybaby. It's no big deal. Is that what your defense is? Yeah, that's what I figured. I don't know how that's going to fly, but we're going to find out. I'm not going to start with you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Mr. Hume. First, I want you to tell me how old you are.
38.
You work?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a technician on computers.
Tell me when you went to the movies on the day that you came into contact with Mr. Haas. What date was that?
I don't remember. He says it was the 7th of November.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What movie were you going to see?
Frida.
Good movie. For what performance did you buy a
It's
ticket?
the first one, like 11 o'clock, I think, or
In the
noon.
morning?
Yeah.
Busy theater?
Not a lot of people that day, maybe 30 people.
Now, you arrived at the theater, bought your ticket, and went and took a seat. 30 people, so the theater wasn't full. When did Mr. Haas arrive?
Probably 5 minutes after the movie had started, and it just took him a little bit to settle in.
Where did they settle in? Right in front of you?
In front of me and down maybe 6 seats, probably.
Tell me what happened.
They were talking, and they weren't, I mean, at first it was like, we have our seats now and that kind of thing. But then they kept talking. It wasn't about the movie. They were talking about how they got there and things like that. They were just chatting. And people were staring at them. Finally, I said, please be quiet. And Mr. Haas turned to me and said, we're not being loud enough to disturb you. So then they were quiet for like 10 minutes, and I didn't care. If he had to call me so he'd be quiet, I didn't care.
Okay.
But then they started again. And again, it wasn't, what did she say or anything? It was just chit-chat. So I got up to leave. I figured I'm not going to be happy here. There's no point. And as I walked past, I walked right past his head. And I had a big soda in my hand, and I poured it over his head.
Shh. Okay.
So then he, people laughed, and he jumped up and said, you're going to go to jail for assault if I have anything to say about it, and started running and carrying on. And I was leaving, and he was following me, and I figured he's just going to get my license plate, and he can call the police and tell them what a mean lady I am. And instead, I had this book bag. It was heavy enough that it carried books in it. It wasn't like a shopping bag or anything, but it was made out of like a plastic material. And he grabbed it and ripped it in half. I don't have it. I gave it to the police. I wasn't sure if I could take him physically, so I decided to just wait for the police to get there.
And they came and they issued citations to both of you?
At his insistence.
Okay. Mr. Haas, let's take it step by step. Did you arrive 5 minutes after the movie started?
The credits were still rolling.
I don't care whether 5 minutes after the movie started, you arrived.
About.
Why?
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 Well, it was actually the right time to arrive.
Why?
Well, we didn't have to watch the previews.
Yeah, but people got to a movie theater and they settled in, and the movie theater went dark, and then you decide, quite selfishly, to arrive. If you said to me, we didn't mean to arrive late, we just arrived late because we hit traffic or the car wouldn't start or whatever, what you're telling me is you don't have to go in to see the credits and to hear the opening salvo. You just get there when the first word is uttered, so it was the right time. You planned it that way.
Yes.
Well, that's rude. Very rude. And when you sat down, were you speaking to your friend?
A few words.
Why? You've already been rude, arriving late. Other people are there. 30 people arrived on time, settled themselves down. Not only do you arrive late so that your big bodies are blocking the screen so that people can't see it as you're going to sit down in your seats, but you sit down and then you start to talk.
There were only a half a dozen people in the theater, and our
What
big
difference
bodies,
does it make? There were more than you.
and our bodies didn't block any screen viewing
How do you know that?
because there was only a half a dozen people in the theater.
Mr. Haas, so you telling me that your chatter didn't bother anybody else because there were only 6 people in the theater?
A word or two passed between friends isn't chatter.
I don't believe that that's what happened, Mr. Haas. I don't believe that. And I'm not even going to ask him because you didn't say, I'm glad we got here. Fine, I'm going to be quiet. You were talking to him. She asked you to be quiet. And according to you, you said, not talking loud enough to bother you. And you did call her a name. You acknowledge that. Is that
Yes.
right? Well, you're rude and disrespectful. I'm not saying that she had any right whatsoever to do what she did. But I want to tell you something. Most of the people who are sitting here in the courthouse today, as well as Bird, certainly myself, have been in positions where we've gone to the theater, we're respecting the rights of others, and some people who are totally self-absorbed, selfish people can ruin their good time by sitting and chatting because they just don't give a damn about anybody else, and that was you and your friend. Right?
I guess so.
You're damn right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's a passive-aggressive piece of you, sir. I'm not exactly sure what the diagnosis would be, but while she needs some anger management classes, you probably need a couple of good hours on a shrink's couch.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Haas claims his eyes were burned when Linda Terhune dumped soda on his head at a movie theater. Linda says Michael wouldn't stop talking during the film.
Mr. Haas, I am totally unsympathetic with you. I just want you to know that. You were rude, and she had it up to here. So, now prove to me, other than your wounded ego and your damp shirt, what injuries you sustained.
Shortly after leaving the theater, I had to take my contact lenses out that they were bothering me. I tried to call my eye doctor because my eyes were burning. It was over the Veterans Day holiday, so I wasn't able to see my eye doctor, until the following Tuesday. And then when I did go to the eye doctor, I was diagnosed with a chemical burn in my eyes.
Show me.
In here.
Are these 2 different office visits?
Yes.
I'm just looking for the date on here.
11/12 was the first date.
So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 6 days later, you went to the doctor for the first time. Is that right?
It was Veterans Day weekend, and all the doctors were unavailable.
No, that's not true. Doctors are available. They're available in an emergency room if you have a chemical burn in your eye. So what were your out-of-pocket expenses, sir?
About $1,295.
Show me. I see one bill for $40 and one bill for, well, this I don't understand, sir. February 19th, 2003, you went to the doctor for $305.
That was as a result of not being able to wear my contact lenses anymore. I had to get eyeglasses.
That doesn't say that here at all. It doesn't say that here at all. Yeah. Don't buy it, sir. So you can take this back. Now, let's get up to $1,200 and some odd dollars. Where is that from?
In addition to needing to go to the eye doctor, evidently when the contents of her cup were dumped on my head and I jumped up from my chair, I sprung my back and went to the chiropractor.
See the groans? Let me see the chiropractor. While you're looking for that, Mr. Haas, did you sprain your back before or after you've chased her out into the parking lot and grabbed her backpack?
Well, there was no chase to the parking lot. This was a mall theater. She tried to escape when I was trying to call the police.
Please, was the injury before or after you grabbed her backpack?
It was before.
Okay. Now let me see the report from the chiropractor. Sir, these are just bills. You have a report from the chiropractor?
They're paid bills.
I'm asking you if you have a report from the chiropractor.
No.
No. Yeah, then you know that this is nonsense. So far, the only bill I have is $40 for your eye exam on or about the 12th of November. What else?
In addition to the chiropractor.
Chiropractor I'm not considering,
In
sir. I don't
addition
know
to
whether
the
you sprained
eye
your...
doctor.
Listen to me. I don't know whether you sprained your back hopping into your car I don't know whether you sprained your back or neck at all. I have no idea. When you come to court, you have to have a doctor's report. A doctor's report will tell you exactly what you were treated for, what you complained of, what your symptoms were. Paid bills is not it. What else?
There was more to the eyes than just a $40 bill. How much is your eyesight worth to you?
How much is my eyesight worth? I don't know. How is your eyesight between the time that she poured the soda on your head and today? What has been the progression of your eye disease?
Well, I used to wear contact lenses all of the time, and after the incident where the contents of the cup were dumped on my eyes, I have never been able to wear contacts again. That's why I had to buy eyeglasses.
As I said, I'm not excusing the defendant's behavior. I think that she acted inappropriately in a juvenile manner, and I am unsympathetic. I'm also unsympathetic, sir, with your request for $3,000 in medical expenses and pain and suffering because somebody just got really annoyed enough at you and your rudeness to act out her worst fantasy, which was to get up and pour her drink over your head and say, you annoyed me and the rest of the people in this theater, and now I'm going to annoy you and make your life a little bit miserable. Because all I wanted to do this morning was come and see a very good movie, and you destroyed that moment for me, you and your chatty friend. And I'm going to get even with you. And everybody here has had a moment like that. You had no right to do that. She also had no right to throw soda on him. By the way, did you ever at any time apologize to her for using profanity and calling her a name?
No, I would expect that she would apologize to me and be responsible for taking some anger management course.
Mm-hmm. What's the name? Oh, gee, there used to be a woman who dealt in etiquette. I'm trying to think. Miss Manners. She owes you an apology. She does. You owe her an apology.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Haas claims his eyes were burned when Linda Terhune dumped soda on his head at a movie theater. Linda says Michael wouldn't stop talking during the film.
Now, he had out-of-pocket expense of $40. I'm giving him 10 times those damages, $400. Now, there's a passive-aggressive piece of you, sir. I'm not exactly sure what the diagnosis would be, but it's certainly passive-aggressive. Because if you can go into a public theater and somebody says to you, could you please be quiet? And instead of just saying, well, I didn't realize I was disturbing somebody, turn around and curse them, and then continue to annoy them, there is some passive aggressiveness about you. And while she needs some anger management classes, you probably need a couple of good hours on a shrink's couch. That's it, $400 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I think it speaks volumes to the lack of gentility that we now have in our country, where someone can assault you in a public place and skate as easily as Mr. Hune did.
The only thing that surprises me is that more people don't pour sodas on Mr. Haas's head.
22-year-old student Ricky Reed is suing the mother of his child, 21-year-old student Tia Fishback, for bleaching his clothes, the attempted killing of his pet snake, and assault.
Yeah, this is case number 136 on the calendar, the matter of Reed versus Fishback. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. Reed, you and Miss Fishback had a relationship and you have a child together. How old is your child?
She'll be 2 in July.
According to your complaint, you had some sort of an altercation with Miss Fishback and you separated.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Fishback, don't laugh.
I'm not laughing.
Good.
Okay.
And in retaliation, she went to your home. She really broke into your home, according to you. She got your keys and broke into your home. She poured bleach all over your clothes. She also tried to poison a pet snake of yours by putting bleach in the water. And you claim that she has continually harassed you and even assaulted you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll let her tell me about her defense. You tell me when you separated, sir.
Shortly after our daughter was born.
That was 2 years ago.
Yes, ma'am.
When was this incident with the clothes?
The incident with my clothes happened in February of last year.
Tell me about it.
Prior to this, you know, we had a daughter, and...
Could you keep up? First of all, speak up and faster, because I have other things to do today.
I'm sorry.
Where are you from?
Georgia.
Things are slow in Georgia. I'm from Brooklyn. Things are speeded up a little.
Okay. On the night in question, me and my roommate, we have college night, and we was going to the club on Thursday. We went to the club. Miss Fishback showed up.
And you had already broken up at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Shortly after, I noticed she departed, but didn't think anything of it. I went home. My roommate went to his room. I went to mine, and I went in my closet, and I noticed there were spots all over my clothes. So I immediately looked to the ceiling to see if stuff was coming from the ceiling, because I didn't know where it was from.
And you noticed that your clothes were full of bleach?
Yeah.
You could take out one piece. You don't have to show me the whole thing.
Well, here's a sweater.
Okay, good.
And,
Clear. All right, Miss Fishback, you want to tell me why you poured bleach on his clothes?
Well, I poured bleach on his clothes because I found out that he was sleeping with a so-called friend of mine, but she turned out not to be my friend because she was sleeping with him.
Why didn't you pour bleach on her clothes?
Yeah, that's not...
Shh. I asked you a question. She was your friend.
She was, yeah.
Just listen to me. You poured bleach on his clothes, and you weren't together with him anymore. So he wasn't betraying you with sleeping with somebody else.
Yes, he was.
Your friend was betraying you if she was having...
Well, her too.
Well,
we dealt with her later.
How did you deal with her later?
Well, just with talking about it and let it be.
That's not true.
That is true.
Listen to me. Don't speak.
Yes.
Now I'm asking Miss Fishback. How did you deal with your friend later?
Well, we...
Who's we?
Well, not we, but
Could
myself.
you look at me? Look at my... Listen to me. Look here.
Okay, well, we talked about it, and she lied. And
So
I
what
found
did you
out
do?
she was lying. Then we talked about it some more, and that was it. I didn't do anything.
Well, so my question to you, Miss
fight her, I
Fishback,
didn't
pay
touch
attention.
her.
Pay careful attention.
I didn't hear what you said.
Pay, because you keep talking.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
So what you have to do is pay attention.
Okay.
If your friend betrayed you, then you deal with your friend by talking. Now, you went into his room, because there wasn't even a question. I didn't ask you, did you do it? I said, why did you do it? Now you can tell me why you don't think you're financially responsible for it.
Because we...
Look over here.
I paid for some of those clothes.
So?
That were bleached. So they were mine.
They weren't yours.
Okay.
So, how much are the clothes worth, sir?
Well, there's no real way for me to...
Well, tell me what they are. Why don't you take them out? Let's take a look at them. How many sweaters? How many pants?
Well, I have in my police report that I filed an estimated number. There were some things left out that I just recently found.
You should have found them when you filed the police report in February of 2002.
It was the only thing that was left off was my leather jacket that my mom bought. It was in the very back of my closet. And from what I seen, you can't see it because it was sprayed from the back side of it.
You should have had a neater closet. Let me see another article of clothing.
This is the jacket I'm talking about. And
let me see another article of clothing. Nice clothes. How many shirts altogether?
I have 23 shirts.
Go ahead. What else?
14 pair of pants.
How many?
14 pair of pants.
You got 14 pairs of pants, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Now tell me about the snake.
Well, Miss Fishback did purchase a snake for me on my birthday.
That's a gift. What did you do to the snake?
It was in my cage. I didn't know at first, but then I have a...
Well, why don't we let Miss Fishback tell me what she did to the snake? What did you do to the snake, Miss Fishback?
I poured bleach in her tank.
You mean all over the tank?
No, just in her water bowl.
Why did you do that?
Because he doesn't need to have her.
You have custody of this 2-year-old child?
I do.
I would question your ability to parent a 2-year-old child.
Are you sure about that?
I am absolutely positive about that, madam, and I have more experience than you have years.
Okay.
Because if you are vicious enough, because you're in a snit over somebody sleeping with your old boyfriend, to try to kill a living being, then as far as I'm concerned, you should not have custody of a child.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Are you on medication?
No, I'm just sitting here listening to you. I'm waiting for you to tell me what I better learn.
You better learn to grow up.
And later today,
When did you leave the band?
The first week of May, when I found out that the defendant was messing around with my girlfriend.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ricky Reed says ex-girlfriend Tia Fishback bleached his clothes, tried to kill his pet snake, and assaulted him.
I sat in family court for a lot of years. Pouring bleach on his clothes, I can understand. I don't count that, and he's going to get paid because you had no right to do it. But I could understand somebody getting that angry and saying, I'm going to cut the pants in half, or I'm going to pour bleach on you. I mean, this is not the first bleach on your clothes for a long time. I mean, it's an almost standard retaliatory mood.
It's more than that, though. It's more of taking responsibility for your child that, you know, he doesn't come pick up, fought so hard.
That has nothing to do with the snake, you fool.
Well, it does.
You're a fool. It has nothing to do with the snake. If you wanted him to act more responsibly with his child, you think that you're going to teach him to act more responsibly with his child by poisoning his snake? You're some idiot.
All right.
Good. That's what you are. You're an idiot. And Mr. Reed, you want to be a responsible parent?
Yes, ma'am.
She acknowledges she tried to poison an animal to get even with you for sleeping with a girlfriend. I would question whether she has the ability to parent a child if she can do what she acknowledges that she did. Damaged clothes, harassment. You want to tell me about the harassment, Mr. Reed?
Well, there's been several occasions where Miss Fishback has harassed me. Actually, there was an altercation when she stole my credit card and made purchases on my credit card.
Where did she take your credit card from?
Out of my truck.
How many charges did she make on it?
She made phone calls to her mom and her aunt and to other people. The charges came up to like $100 and something.
Why'd you do that?
Because actually, I just had I had the credit card in my possession, but I just used it, and I paid his mother back for that, and I paid for that already.
When you say you had it in your possession, where did you get it from?
Out of his truck, like he said.
How often do you see your daughter?
Look
at me.
She lives right around the corner. I see her, if not every day, every other day.
Okay, so you see her pretty regularly.
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do, Ms. Fishback?
Right now, I have a job at a customer service representative, better yet. There we go.
What does that mean?
Meaning...
Look at me.
Customer service.
I don't know what that means. Who do you work for? Give me the name of the company.
Macon County Greyhound Dog Track.
What does she do for a living?
Nothing.
That's what I do.
Actually, she just, you know, she's there bothering me. That's why we have all these problems.
You picked her.
You're right, I
You
did.
picked her.
But, Your Honor, she wasn't
Zip it
like...
up. Then you don't have a problem. You created a problem. Mr. Reed, you know, I have a certain amount of sympathy for you because I think she's nutty. I really think she's nutty. So I have a certain amount of sympathy for you. But, you know, until you're really sure that this is going to be an it, you just bought the whole farm for the next 18 years or so, and that farm isn't wrapped too tight. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
She has serious personality disorders. So you better watch it very carefully. In any event, I'm giving you a judgment in the amount of $2,500 for your clothes, for the harassment. Madam, you better learn to... Look at this. There is some... Are you on medication?
No, I'm just sitting here listening to you. I'm waiting for you to tell me what I better learn.
You better learn to grow up. Okay. You made a child with somebody when you were not married, so you had no commitment. He wasn't going to be your knight in shining armor. That you can't seem to get through your head. Leave him alone. Try to be a good mother as long as you have custody of this child. That is your primary responsibility. And start to put a life together for yourself where you are engaged in some useful pursuit other than making trouble. Now do you understand?
Yes.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After all said and done, I knew I was wrong, but couldn't fix it.
Snakes can sense tainted food or water, and she didn't. Luckily, she didn't drink any.
He doesn't deserve anything. He shouldn't get it, but, you know, whatever.
I've had several charges brought up against her, and something always happens, and nothing's ever done, so I'm just ready to graduate and move on.
Broke heart, woman scorned, did damage. He'll get over it. Life will go on.
25-year-old musician Chris Reese is suing his ex-roommate, 20-year-old marketing rep Belinda Pena, for having him falsely arrested. Belinda says Chris threatened her.
Order. All rise. Hold on for a second. Who keeps helping me?
Whoever keeps helping you, throw them out.
That's what I was going to do. Hold on.
Perfect. Just pick the right person.
Your Honor, this is case number 207 on the calendar in the matter of Reese versus Pena. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Mr. Reese, you're suing the defendant because you claim she had you falsely arrested.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know Miss Pena before you rented a room in her house?
Yes, I was living with a friend, and they live in the same gated community. And the friend I was living with was about to go on tour for 2 months, so I needed a spot to stay until I found another spot. She offered her room for rent, you know, for a month or less.
So you knew her from
the friend, yeah.
a friend, and you had socialized. You had,
yeah.
According to your complaint, she agreed to rent you a room in her house.
Right.
And that was sort of in, I think it was in mid-May that she
Yes.
agreed to do that. And you paid her rent, $375?
Right.
Did he pay you any rent?
Yes, he paid me $360.
$360. Oh, so I was off.
All right, my bad.
And then she went away for a while on a weekend or something, and lo and behold, her parents come home.
Right.
And find you sleeping in their bed,
Well,
like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And they said, in effect, who the hell are you? And what are you doing here? And you explained to them that you had rented a
room
from their
daughter.
And they said, we don't like that.
Right.
So at that point, Miss Pena, then she comes back, and she said she had a fight with her parents. You did have a fight with your parents.
No.
Your parents wanted him out. Fair statement?
Yes.
And you said, I'm paid up until the end of the month. I'm not leaving.
Correct.
One thing led to another, and Miss Pena asked you to leave. According to your answer, Miss Pena, you said to him, look, you have to go, and I'll give you back your money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't want my money back. I need a place to stay till the end of the month. You said, I'll even give you money to go and stay in a hotel, right?
Yes.
And he said, I'm not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes, that's true.
And then you started arguing.
Mm-hmm.
You argued for a few days.
3 days.
What were you arguing about?
Okay, Tuesday, that's the day I came into town, and my parents told me what had happened, what they spoke of, and that's when I confronted him about exactly what had happened. I asked for his side of the story after my parents had told me. So at that point, he told me that I was lying about what my parents had told me, which was that he had paid $575. And at this point, they were very displeased at what had happened because he had lied to them in their face.
No, they were displeased that you rented him a room.
No, that's not how it was.
I want to know what you were arguing with him about.
We were arguing because he denied that my parents said that he was going to pay $360, which is what I had told them.
He had already paid $360.
Exactly, but he had told them that he was paying $575, so that's why I confronted him.
Excuse me?
Monthly.
Monthly. And he had given you $360, but that was just for 2 weeks, madam.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, get with the drill with your math. He paid you for 2 weeks, $360.
Yes.
So is that what you were arguing about?
Yes.
For 3 days? What prompted you to go to the...
No, we
I'm
weren't.
speaking. Then you said you were arguing nonstop for 3 days. So that's... Now you've told me what you were arguing about. And since you were arguing and he wouldn't leave, you went to the police.
He threatened me on the 3rd day of our argument. So
How
I
did he
filed a
threaten you?
complaint. He told me, while we were arguing in the morning, a friend happened to call me on the phone. and he heard the way that...
What were you arguing about?
We were arguing about the same situation we had been arguing for the past 3 days.
Why didn't you just leave him alone and let him work out his contract, because he'd already paid till the end of May, and let him leave?
Because my parents wanted him out of the house because he had lied to them. So that's why I offered him money so he could leave early, because he
didn't want to leave early.
Okay. And
that I'm asking you why you went to the police. Now you were going to tell me that.
He threatened me.
How did he threaten you? What did he say?
Because after I had spoken to my friend on the phone, he told me that if I had anybody try to get him out of the house, that he would take care of me or he would handle that situation with me. And I had never said I was going to do anything of the sort. I was trying to get him to leave civilly. But that's why we were arguing, because I couldn't do that. So he said that if I try to have anybody escort him out of the house, that he would handle that situation. So I went and filed a complaint.
Why?
Why? Because I felt threatened. He was being very hostile.
Go ahead. So you went to the police and you filed a complaint. I want to see a copy of the complaint that you filed. First one. You filed 2 complaints, is that right?
No, just one.
Oh, really? I read your answer and it says that you filed 2 complaints.
No, I never said that.
Oh. You say in your answer, madam, that you were arguing for 3 days, so I decided to go to the police and file a complaint. Later that day, we argued again. This time, he threatened me by saying that he had a gun. I called the police, and they came and arrested him.
Yes.
So when you went to the police the first time and you told him this baloney story, they did not come and arrest him. Is that right?
No, all I did was file a complaint against him. I went to the police department.
Okay, fine. And then what happened? Right, you filed a complaint.
The following...
What's next?
The same evening...
Yeah.
He came home, and we started arguing again, and the argument escalated.
Just a second. He came home, and I pay attention to me. I'm much smarter than you are. I got it. He came home, walked in the front door. Where were you?
Sitting on the couch.
What did you say to him or he say to you?
I asked him if he would decide to leave early.
So you started with him, and you said, I want you to leave. He already told you he's not leaving. And he said what?
He said that he wasn't going to leave, began degrading me and insulting me again. At that point, he told me if I had anybody come and try to escort him out of the house or advise him to leave, that he had a gun upstairs in his room and that he would use it if it was necessary.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your story was totally different, by the way, in your complaint than what you just testified to, because you're so stupid you can't even get your facts straight.
And later today...
I had been putting money into their account because I was filing for divorce from Mr. Minks, and I was trying to hide the money from him, so...
Babe, you can't do that!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chris Reese says ex-roommate Belinda Pena had him falsely arrested. Belinda says when she asked Chris to leave, he threatened her with violence.
Yes.
Now, at that time, they're saying that I said I had a gun. They had already taken all her and her friends. They took all my stuff out the room and they wrapped it up in a blanket with my TV, DVD player, clothes, and put at the end of the stairs, tied in a knot. So when I was driving home in the U-Haul, because I was going to pick up a bed to put in my new spot for the next month, I was driving home U-Haul. I got a call from one of her boyfriends talking about, he's from Compton.
Just a second. So are you telling me that when you were coming home that evening, when you came in on the evening that she's talking about, she and her friends had already cleared out your room?
Downstairs on the bottom, tied up in a knot with TV, DVD, clothes, CDs, everything, iron.
Yeah.
And I walked in, there was 4 guys there, and I asked which one of you guys called me on my cell phone. They was like, it's not us. She said it was somebody else. I got upset.
So there were 4 people there,
already.
Herself and how many of her friends?
4 people and her.
And her were there.
Now,
is that the time that you called the police?
Oh, I didn't call the police.
She called the police?
Oh, yes, yes.
Is that when you called the police?
Yes, after.
And you had 3 friends at
Which
the
had
house.
nothing to do with it.
I'm speaking and I asked you a question. You had 3 friends there, is that correct?
They happened to stop by, yes.
Well, I want to tell you something. I'm trying to hold my fury, because not only did you manipulate the justice system
because of your lies. Because you couldn't get your way, and you figured the only way to get your way was to file a complaint against him with the police department. So you went down there once. And your story was totally different, by the way, in your complaint than what you just testified to, because you're so stupid you can't even get your facts straight.
That's nice.
You say that he was going to get somebody to take care of you. Well, that's not what you testified to. You said, if anybody tries to get me out of here, I'm going to be able to take care of the situation, not take care of you. That was the first time you went to the police. And then when the police would do nothing, because you figured you'd go down there, cry a couple of tears, and they would be very sympathetic, they would come and throw him out. Then you had 3 friends over. You had already packed up all of his stuff. It was already in a big bundle, so you knew there was no gun upstairs in his room because the room was cleared out.
Exactly.
and because he wasn't going fast enough for you, you called the police and you had him arrested. You've got some nerve. You're a manipulative, maniacal young lady who worked the system, and he got punished for it.
5 days in jail.
Ultimately, the case was dismissed. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I wish I could put her in jail for 5 days.
That's all I want.
Listen to me. I wish I could put her in jail for 1 day, so that she would know how it felt to lose your liberty when somebody is lying because they didn't get their way. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
All is excused. You may step out.
He's just a huge liar. He's a complete liar.
She had a 4-bedroom, only 2 people were living there. Paying her. She was taking trips and paying car notes.
He insulted me, degraded me, and he was hostile, violent, and I'm living in this house by myself, renting him out a room, doing him a favor.
I didn't need to be in jail. You know, I have money. It wasn't about money.
I'm not going to do favors for anybody, especially people like him.
I came here to get justice. Justice was prevailed.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh 2 chú chó đang chơi đùa nhé. Chúng ta hãy cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Gì đấy?